Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of Never Before Seen. My name is AmberCyprian. I will be your host tonight as we bring you a speedrun of a game that has never before been seen in a mainline GDQ event. As always, if you happen to speedrun a game or a category of game that has never been run in an AGDQ, SGDQ, or GDQx event, and you would like to submit it to the show, type !NBS for Never Before Seen into the chat to find the link to be able to send me your runs, and I would love to have you. So before we get started with the run that we have planned for tonight, we do have a few announcements. First and foremost, I have this right. The Frost Fatale's volunteer submissions are closed, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, the game and volunteer submissions are now closed, but One and Done-a-thon submissions are open now until November 21st. That's a new series of marathons on the GDQ hotfix where every runner only ever gets to show one run on the series. So think about what game you most want to show off in a showcase and submit that to us. You can find information for that at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. If you missed out on any GDQ hotfix shows, maybe you just missed Mercy Kill and you're like, dang, I want to see that. You can check out our archive of past runs and shows at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. We get our past shows up pretty quickly, so take a look over there in a day or two or so. If you're watching on YouTube, speaking of which, feel free to join us over here at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick to check out our live shows, starting most nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And while you're there, Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits, so please consider subscribing to help support future broadcasts. And also, while you're over at YouTube, check out our Sum of Best Segments channel. It's GDQ's Sum of Best Segments. It's a highlight channel with regular videos like our main YouTube channel, but with smaller, bite-sized highlight reels from all of our main events and hotfix, and type !highlights into chat for more info. Now, continuing VTuber night, as we have clearly got it here, we have the return of Kyozalo Monster and the lovely Alfina on commentary with Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, or as I like to personally call it, the Balthier and Friends show. So, Kyo, Alfina, it's good to have you all back. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty all right. It's a Wednesday night. I've had a few days off, so I'm actually rested for once. It's a miracle.
Ooh, that is some spiciness.
Spicy.
Like, I enjoy a good few days off. I just had a bunch of days off. I am still somehow a little tired, but you know what? I think I can wake up with some Zodiac Age. How about you?
It's a run. It's definitely it's a run, literally. Probably the truest definition of speed run that exists.
Yeah. Yeah,
I know. I stole your pun. I'm sorry, kind of.
I know. I tell
sorry.
these jokes and then Kios just steals them and makes them his jokes.
Well, we all know the biggest joke is actually me. I don't have the air horn button. Dang.
All right. Well, I don't know about you. I'm pretty ready to have the run on the rails, so it can eventually go off the rails.
Oh, I'm sure it will. My luck the past 2 months has been astronomically bad.
It's fine.
Did he be in this like a week or two ago?
It was still off the rails.
And I got a 2% chance of bad luck happening within the first 10 minutes, and then a 3% chance of bad luck within the next 20 minutes after that, or 30 minutes after that.
Yeah.
It was gnarly.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, here's hoping for some better luck, even though marathon luck's a thing. So we're gonna hope.
Yeah, I ain't worried about it.
We'll bring it home anyway.
It is what it is. Oh, yeah. All right. So whenever you are ready, go ahead and give us a countdown and take it away.
All right. So, as Amber presented, and as Alfina will be accompanying me, this is Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age on PS4. Changed some settings. We have subtitles because I don't hear good. Inverted because any other way is just wrong. And we are going to run this at 4 times speed mode multiplier. What does that mean? Well, you'll see, and probably at first really, really not like it. And in a 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to the world of Final Fantasy XII. If you play 14, you'd know that the story and a lot of the content revolves around it. It would be as easily to describe this as a single-player MMO. And I personally love the game. This version is based off of an international release called the International Zodiac Job System, and is currently available for pretty much all modern consoles. I think it's available PC, Xbox, PS4.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Should be all of them.
I'd like to introduce everybody to my favorite character in the game, Rex. He is a good boy.
He is. I'm really excited to showcase the story of this wonderful, wonderful young man, Rex, and his obvious friend, Bosch. Unfortunately, I have to do one thing really quickly. I'm going to change some of the settings here. So what I have there is, the way this game works is you have 2 ways of doing combat. You can do it in wait mode, which is when you open the menu to do inputs, the game is kind enough to wait for you. Or active, where it's literally as it says, active. I also changed our battle speed to fast, which is basically how quickly the game processes priorities and actions that you input. And I also turned the menu to memory, basically. So I just want the cursor to basically stay where it is, because I will have to do a lot of quick menuing throughout the run. If you think this is difficult to run at 4 times speed, the answer is yes. If there are any motorcycle riders in the chat, the only way I can liken this to is, remember the first time you got on your motorcycle and then you opened the throttle like all the way and you nearly fell off the back of it? Yeah, it's like that, except it goes on for about, the first hour until you really get your feet under you and the movement kind of in there. So what we have there is we took down an airship, and now we're going to go protect the king, and oh no, something happens. There are some cutscenes. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, but it's okay. We'll get Rex back.
We will?
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll get Rex back. It'll be totally fine. I don't know who this dude is. He's got spray painted abs, so that's good for him.
The best spray painted abs.
Darn. Anyway, I killed some rats. Go me.
Doesn't that make it like a true RPG right there, that you have a quest to kill rats?
There are 2 things that makes a perfect video game, specifically with RPGs. Follow along with me here at home. If it has a sewer system and if it has a fishing mini game, it is automatically a terrific game. Nier Automata has sewers, has a fishing mini game. Great game. Dark Cloud 2, quite a classic. Fishing mini game, very important fishing mini game, and a sewer system. Great game, undeniably a great game. Final Fantasy 15, yep, that's got a whole sewer system, very important sewer system, and a very important fishing mini game. It even has a spin-off fishing game for VR.
It's true.
Great game. Final Fantasy 12, lots of sewers, lots of mini games about fishing. Although the fishing mini game, I don't think really does anything. I'd have to double check.
Not anything important.
Yeah, I don't think it's basically just like to kill time.
Loot
on the boat, I think.
I think you can get loot. Not like anything
Lego
you can't
Island.
get anywhere else.
Both the name Rogue Tomato is just basically me trying to make a salad without eating just the tomatoes.
Yeah.
And also the movement speed has me giggling every time I see it.
Oh, it's awful.
My favorite thing to do with the movement speed and when we go speed up like this is to listen to the footsteps, because the footsteps are sped up. So you hear the.
I will warn people, if your ears are sensitive to high pitched tones, you might want to turn your volume down when we get to a place called the Great Crystal at about an hour and 45 in.
We'll give you another warning.
It's a little rough. Yep. TZA it, like I said, was based off of International Zodiac job system, which was kind of like, imagine the greatest hits version of this game, but released only for Japan, and due to pressure, decided that they would give the game jobs, because one big old license board can get kind of confusing. The other quality of life thing they added, because this game is very conducive to grinding, is they added a 2x speed up. It's claimed to be 2x. What it actually was a frame rate on capper. Which would set the game from field of 30 FPS to about 55 on average, as long as you didn't have too much going on.
Yep.
So because this is still realistically just an upscaled PS2 game with an English translation patch slammed onto it and a secondary job skill added, it's basically able to run at 4x the speed, which is pretty handy. So in the, I think, roughly less than 10 minutes we've been running, we've already knocked out the first hunt of the game, which was the Rogue Tomato, which introduces us to the hunt system, which is really, really neato. We've accidentally may have been involved in a plot killing the king. And now we're going to meet an old guy who's basically like, you know, the guy from Aladdin. Not Aladdin, the old guy from. Anyway, he's basically going to tell us, you know, because we want to be a sky pirate, you know, it's what the hip and trendy kids, the youth would like to do these days. He's basically going to be like, hey, if you can get me a crescent stone, I can get you in. One of the important cutscenes we missed was about this dude named Vane Solidor, and he's a bit of a jerk. You know, they kind of took over our city, and he was kind of a big, mean jerk about it. So, you know, obviously, we want to go steal some treasure from the palace to make him look like poopy pants.
Something like that.
No, not Jafar. Jafar was evil. Dallon's fine. Dallon's good people.
Dallon's like
so
the merchant guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
The only thing that I actually use to do this run anymore is I have a damage down chart and I have 3 numbers memorized. Without getting too much into it too early, the entire basis of this run hinges on me being able to manipulate 1 in 10,000 odds twice, back to back, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, he's so vain, he thinks this game is about him, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, we meet Vanello, whatever, sure. Words are hard.
What are letters?
Vanilla is my favorite flavor of ice cream.
Vanilla?
Vanilla.
Thanks, Vanille.
No, vanilla is now a flavor of ice cream.
Yeah, but what? Vanilla bean and marshmallow? It sounds great.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Ooh, does it have like marshmallow fluff mixed in it?
You could. I'm not saying no.
All right, I'm getting ice cream after the run.
I am not your father nor the ice cream creator. I am not here to tell anyone what they can or cannot do.
So we're coming into some of the first big RNG in the run. This kid has us doing his work for him. So we're gonna go run around to these crystals and try to get this shade stone charged. And you have it's between 25 and 55% charge from each crystal. 46 ain't bad.
46 is good. High probability to 3 crystal, which is average, so I'm on for it.
You can either get 2 crystal, you can get 3 crystal, which is average, or you can get 4 crystal, which is bad. We are very much hoping for 3.
Wow,
we got 2
crystal. Okay. 2. So technically PB pace here.
I'll take it. That is the best that you can get is 2.
Very low percentage chance there. So glad I made tea for this.
And then we get back and this kid that, you know, was too injured to run around and look at those crystals is like, hey, my ankle feels better and I'll race you back, and then gets back there before us.
Kid straight fleeces us. He finessed us so hard.
Kid's got game?
Kid straight got game. Anyway, I'm gonna get all these lovely rewards. That kid's gonna wipe his nose, I guess. Use a tissue or something. Come on.
We're
I'm gonna sell off 1 potion and this amulet because I don't really need it. And I'm gonna buy dark. Now, the odd thing about this is we're still barely probably 15 minutes into the run. And I've grabbed a very powerful AoE magic spell to the, tiny tune of 500 gil. So the game gives you access to some things a lot earlier than the PS2 version. So we're gonna abuse that as much as we can. But first, we're gonna make a pit stop. In order to speed the game up even more, I should probably grab a few levels first. So we're actually gonna do something that's technically a glitch in the fact that you're not supposed to be able to spawn it more than once. But we're gonna visit a friend that is named after my motorcycle because it's here 1 second and gone the next. It's Dusty of farming time. I'm only gonna do 3 of these bad boys today because that's all that we need. 48. Ooh.
I'm not good at this math.
I've got it.
I said this is the one I always have to look up again. So what we're trying to do here is we're gonna go farm these enemies that require us to be in critical health. So we had to put Vaughn into critical health, and now we're gonna knock out Pinello so that we have our party.
I am losing all that time with Dave.
All right.
It's fine.
And it causes an enemy to spawn that is undead, and because it's undead, it's extremely weak to Phoenix Downs. So we throw a Phoenix down at it, it dies in 1 hit. We try to pick up the loot. And we get XP and LP from it. And we'll get more into some of the XP and LP as we actually go into menus where we're going to be manipulating things around the license board.
Your man's motorcycle is in the shop for electrical repairs, and the last shop that I took it to screwed up the threading on my oil pan. Ooh, almost Hero Wolf. My motorcycle's in the shop recently for maintenance. It needed a new exhaust, new jets, new carbs, not new carbs, but carb tuning and intake. And unfortunately, I thought I wouldn't be able to take it back to a shop that I've used for 8. But after I dropped it off for them to fix it because the rates are better and it wasn't a carb issue, they're like, why don't you just bring it here? We just say that we don't work on carb bikes because we didn't want to deal with it. Like, you've worked with us for years, so you're fine. All right, but 3 Dustia, that was really good. The Book of Orgains are awesome. That is the only grinding we will realistically do in the run. The rest of the level, LP, and money management is going to basically be what runs in front of me for the rest of the run. That's it.
We'll do a little bit of mostly loot grinding of things that are kind of in our way, where we're really not looking so much for as much the LP or the XP as we are trying to watch the drops and get specific items.
Yeah. I have rough areas, rough ideas of what levels I want to be going into certain bosses, but beyond that, I'm more focused on kind of what's dropping. The unfortunate thing is because everything's at 4 times speed, I also have to read the combat log at the top left at 4 times speed, so.
All right, but now that we have this, shiny new sunstone, we get to go diving into the sewers again and break into the palace, because that's what the cool kids are doing, right?
Yeah, I want to be a sky pirate. Unfortunately, thankfully, in TZA, there is no step count. There is no use of Traveler. Step count at 4 times speed would just be, honestly, impossible. Ooh, we got Razorfin though, so this is now a 13.5 hour plat percent run. You ready, Amber?
Ooh, boy.
Ooh, boy. It's just like an extra 10.5 hours. You'll be all right.
I mean, that's like an extra 10.5 hours of Balthier, right?
Yeah.
Balthier and Fran, like the best characters in the game. I'm gonna keep talking about them because they're my favorite characters in the game. Like, who's Vaughn? I don't know who Vaughn is.
If it makes you feel better, the entire plat percent run, Pinello only comes out to eat Darkja from Zodiac. And if my level if I need like a couple of extra quick levels to hit average of 50, we bring her out. That's it.
I mean, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
If Pinello comes out in either of the runs and it's not for leveling or tanking an attack, things have gone horrendously wrong.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Buckethead.
Hey, Buckethead.
Also, like trying to walk at 4 times speed is hilarious because it looks like, you know, he has the sudden urge to go to the bathroom and has to walk away very quickly. It's a very strained motion.
You're not gonna ever
Once you see it, you
either.
can't unsee it. Yeah, you're stuck with it.
Hope you enjoy that, because you won't unsee it.
Over here.
It's just like one of my favorite cashiers at our grocery store was singing Billy Idol's White Wedding, but instead transplanting words like, it's a nice day for a light sweater. It's a nice day for a cardigan. Stuck with it now forever. All I think about when I hear Billy Idol is I just think about nice sweaters.
Over here.
I'm laughing at it every time I see it. Like I'm watching it on both the delayed feed and your and the live feed. And it's just like
I told you, you'll never unsee it.
How much to turn this into an OOA run? I do not speak about what incentives cost me on the channel that's not my own. But I'd gladly do it for charity. Anytime GDQ offers up insanely long runs, I'll submit it. I'm not the best at it, but I can entertain people for 13 hours while I lose my mind. Anyway, we've hit this switch, which is a mysterious looking switch, and we hear another mysterious click behind this wall that seems suspicious. I'm calling an emergency meeting.
You can take his buttons away, but not the sound effects. Those come built in.
Yeah, sadly, my mouth is still attached to me. Now I'm gonna climb some stairs. It's always good to get your cardio in. Highly recommend it. But we're gonna meet up with Amber's favorite characters, and they're gonna come basically crashing into the room. Unfortunately, something bad has happened, but they have joined the party. I'm gonna go to Fran. I'm gonna take her bow away because she doesn't need it right now. And just, you know, turn the battle speed back up. I'm gonna make a save here. I'm gonna ask at this time that no one ask questions or ever question what I do because I promise it'll all make sense. Just kidding.
Nothing makes sense.
Anyway, now that that's done, we're gonna get a little tutorial. So this is gonna give you a nice little oversight into how computer programming works, and also how the battle system of this game works. Basically, this is when people are like, oh, Final Fantasy XII, the game that plays itself. This is what they mean. And to be honest, trusting this system to always work perfectly is something that you should never do because, you know, it's not infallible. You only have 2 inputs here. But what I'm gonna end up setting up basically is that my party attacks the highest level enemy that's on screen, and Vaughn is gonna heal anyone whose HP goes below 50%. We're gonna run with that for the first little bit of the game, and that will get us through what I need to do. My main goal here is I need Vaughn to have 50 LP, and Balthier and Fran to have at least 40 by the end of this area. That is the goal. So now having had this conversation, I'm obviously gonna re-equip. Can't have her hanging out with nothing. And we're gonna set up those gambits that I talked about. Oh.
That didn't look right.
It's all good. Just a little nervous over me. All right, everybody's here. It looks great. This has been fun. I'm gonna go to trial mode. What is trial mode, do you ask? Well, it's something that was also added with IZJS. It's basically like a little challenge mode that you can just pop into whenever you want. And it's a great way to farm EXP and LP, and there's a bunch of cool items in this area as well. It is required for the plat % trophy, but it's also like a really cool challenge to see how well your party works, you know, because this It's 100 floors, pretty much nonstop, with no healing in between. That basically just kind of tests your mettle and what your party composition is like. I very desperately need to get that. Cool. So that is the diamond armlet. What that does is it gives you access to a secondary set of loot from chests, which is really cool, allowing you access to potentially more rare items. The other cool thing is that it also sells for 6,000 gil, and you can access trial mode and farm as many of them as you want, which only takes about 15, 20 seconds. Go figure, right? So basically, if you ever get stuck in this game, you're like, man, I wish I had more money, I wish I had more LP, just do the first level of trials a couple of times. Everything gets exceptionally easier after. While we're going through here, I'm just gonna kind of take out a few rats. There's 2 of them. I like 2 rats, and I like 2 bats.
Rats and bats and rats and bats.
Yep. Hey, look, it's a sewer system. I also like the frogs. I would say that I like turtles, but we don't have any turtles here. There are also no lamps, if you're curious, even though I do love lamp.
Can someone post GDQ lamp for me? Actually, no, wait, I have a sub. Someone gifted me a sub. I can do GDQ lamp.
I have a pair of fishnet thigh highs that I've yet to wear because my wife swears that all she thinks of is that lamp.
The GDQ is
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. There's the GDQ lamp. All right, so here is the job system, which for some people is really a big improvement over the PS2 version of this game because it is quite intimidating when you just have this giant board of things that you don't know and can't really see that well. The jobs in this game kind of help you synergize your party. You can get your mages, your ranged, your healers, your support classes, all just kind of really taken care of and not really worry about, was this really, should I have really spent the LP that I don't have on this particular skill? The game pretty much sets you up for a class and kind of dresses you for success a little. So we're gonna take that dark that I bought earlier and give it to Balthier and Fran, as they are red mages now. And they are going to cast it once and pretty much wipe out everything in their path. Really worth the 500 gil. It's already paying back dividends. The giant board of everything is fabulous, but hey, that's what the PS2 version is for. Now we're gonna fight 4 Flans. I wish we had 4 Frans, but we only have 1. Sag. That's it. Those are the 2 little sub-bosses in the area. We're moving. This area, unfortunately, spawns a bunch of undead things, and like Alfina said, undead things don't like Phoenix Downs or healing magic. They do, however, absorb dark magic, so there's nothing I can do in this area. We're just gonna run right by it. We'll come back to them later if this was a plat percent. I'm gonna tag the save crystal here to make sure everything's up. And now we're gonna talk about how cool PS2 games are. So when this game came out, how many video games do you know that actively use the environment to change your damage output or your chances of attacking? Welcome to Firemane, a boss that takes more damage when it's in water.
And they put it surrounded by water.
Yep. Here's your other fun fact. Bows in this game, because there are variable weather, in the rain, bows are about 15% less accurate, I believe. 15 to 20% less accurate.
15.
Weird. They programmed it into a PS2 game.
And it carries over into this one because it's basically a port.
Yep. Is it possible to select vanilla 12 on TZA? Nah. So the thing, Ika, is that you get to choose 2 jobs. And if you really don't like them, you can just go to Mont Blanc in the clan hall and be like, I don't like my jobs. Can I get a refund? And he'll just be like, yeah, okay.
That easy.
Yeah, it's really that easy. And to be honest, the whole everyone can do everything doesn't really work out in this game, to be honest. It gets rather the game loses its luster because the quality of life makes the game in the long run more playable and really kind of works better when you have like decent party composition. I would, if you have the chance, it's available on all ports. Unfortunately, the route that I run is only available on PS4, PS5, mainly because no one has figured out the RNG manipulation consistently for the Switch. Blue Harvey gave it a good shot. Shout outs to Blue Harvey for being an absolute mad lad. And I don't think any one of us owns an Xbox to try and figure out where it is.
When we get to the RNG manipulation, we'll explain a little bit more why it's kind of been harder on other platforms.
Yep. So we were lucky because the PS4 RNG table is literally the same as the PS2, but I think shifted by like 100 positions.
I don't remember how much.
I'm pretty sure it's 100.
I know it's the same but shifted. I just don't. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, you can have 2 jobs in this version of the game. You actually get it after beating one of like the earlier bosses in the game. So like they're like real hype to kind of give you access to things so you can like actually plan and develop your characters, but it's not like at a point where like, oh, this really doesn't matter because the game's like halfway over.
So in this area, one of the things that we are paying attention to is that charge bar on the side. If it gets too low, undead will start spawning. We are casting dark on everything. Undead bad.
Yeah, they'll just absorb it. I'm gonna go modified strat, do long skip. I might try and push this to the battery mimic on top step.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be okay. I will get those on the way out because that'll help me kind of figure out where my drops are. It also makes this exit a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'm basically just tinkering around when I'm deciding to go for the charge. The other thing is just kind of managing drops as well. You'll also notice that even though I want to really directly interact with things, because of how battle system works in this game, you saw that Vaughn threw a potion and I really couldn't interact with anything right away. That's because of how the ATB system works. You'll actually see that a lot in the later portions of the game, and I will attempt to abuse it as much as possible. Because this gives me a chance to basically kind of almost prevent enemies from attacking, or basically forcing my attacks to go off before theirs, which would end the fight. It's a much, much, much more complex animal in terms of the PS2 version. To kind of bring it down to the simplest version, think of it like this. Every action has a consequence. This is a concept that we should all be familiar with, as sentient beings on the planet Earth. But an attack, just a simple attack, carries a weight of 1. Healing has a weight of 1. Normal magic, like high-level magic, Firaga, is 4. Like top-tier magic, Ardor, and Scathe are 8. In the PS2 version, you could only have a effect capacity or weight of 8 at once, which is part of how the PS2 version speedrun works. Is they basically try to minimize the amount of attacks the other enemies on the field can get off. With this version, it is actually up to 24. However, that means we can still kind of have a bit of an effect on what loads in, and actually going to start doing it. Didn't get it off.
Not quite.
So the goal there was to try and get rid of 2 of the spawns. And I'm not sure why Mimic Queen, wow, this is very strange.
I haven't seen this in...
Yeah, just Mimic Queen just decided that it didn't really want to deal with my shenanigans.
At all.
Part of it was also camera angle, yeah. I'm going to double check Vaughn's gambits. It should have been should have been highest level, so I don't know why it would like not show Mimic Queen unless Mimic Queen pulled forward and I got pulled way far back, but normally that's not a camera inhibitive thing.
To think
Long story short, there is an option where you can just have your party attack the nearest visible, and that's what most of your party starts with. Nearest visible is very, very, very literal in the sense that if you can't see it on screen, it doesn't count.
The people may hate me, but
The camera angles end up playing a lot more into visible than I think most people think, because they're like, well, my character's looking over there, so they can see it. It does not apply.
No, just a very odd occurrence of the camera not like Mimic Queen moving back and just being out of camera range.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Realistically, unfortunately for Amber, from this point forward, Fran and Balthier really don't matter. They're there.
Boo.
They're along for the ride. Look, you give them better stat pools and we'll talk.
I'm with you, Amber. I fully understand.
Amber, please.
We do
I
get
am the biggest sad.
we do get Ash though.
You get to see him at the end. Yeah, we get Ash.
I actually don't remember who Ash is. I have not seen this game in absolute full. And when I didn't.
Oh, we
watch
spoiled
this game,
it already.
It was like quite some time ago.
I spoiled it. We've already met her. Her name was Amalia, though, like in quotation marks. It's not the first time it's going to happen in this game either, Rust. Anyway, we've made it back to Rabanaster after, well, basically getting arrested and breaking out of prison. You know.
Like you do.
Hashtag just felon things. But we're going to talk to our man's Dallin and be like, yo, you'll never believe this, right? So you know that bad guy that killed the king, right? Bosch, you know, the one they said they killed like 2 years ago? He's alive. And guess what? He's with me. What are we going to do?
I kind of
And
helped
we're
break
like,
him out
hey,
of
we'll
prison.
hide him. Yeah. So I may have broke potentially like the most hated man out of prison. As it turns out, he's kind of a swell guy. I'm a little mad at him still. And he may or may not have indirectly led to the death of my brother, Rex, but like, things.
You said we were getting Rex back.
Well, your memories of him, sure.
Wow. Lying to me.
Me? Never. Anyway,
Got my
so we've
hopes up.
now, however, had a bit of a snag in our plan. We've found Bosch, who's cool with teaming up with us. But when Fran and Balthier left, as it turns out, we've been basically had a bounty put out on us. And, well, the dirtiest, rottenest bounty hunter around, which nobody actually likes. He's not a cool one like Spike Spiegel or Dave Valentine or Jet Black. No, it's some guy named Begamnon. Has abducted Pinello, who literally had nothing to do with it. So that is rather unfortunate. So what it looks like is we're going to have to go to the Sky City of Bujerba and save her. Balthier, being just the incredibly patient and understanding gentleman that he is like, well, I guess we can go chase him down. Why not? Anyway, we're going to talk to this absolutely adorable Moogle. Look at them. They are adorable. They even wave goodbye to us. To get us to basically take the Moogling, which is like a little inner city teleport system, which is super cool. And we're going to take an airship, obviously not to Bujerba. Why would we do that? We're going to fly to Nalbina for literally no reason whatsoever besides the fact that I really like the pun that comes up. We're going to have a conversation between the romantics, spelled R-O-A-M, get it? Because they're like traveling. They're on an airship. They like traveling. Really funny. You should laugh. You should really laugh at it. It's funny.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not giving you the laugh.
Sinzubine!
Amber is nicer than I am. I'm not giving you the laugh.
Anyway,
Oh, I wasn't laughing
I'm
at the pun. I was laughing at like the laugh. Like, please laugh.
Yeah. Please,
It's
please
funny.
clap.
Please laugh.
Anyway, I've had enough of this game, so I'm just gonna close it out. Hey, I have Final Fantasy 15. You want? Can we do that one again? That one's actually fun. I have Fishing North Atlantic. It's literally a fishing simulator.
It's actually pretty cool.
We can go trawling for fish for literally hours until I have to go back to port and refuel.
Sega Bass Fishing or Riot?
I do not have that on my PlayStation 4.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. I boo myself too. Imagine waking up every morning like this.
Not having Sega Bass Fishing.
I'm a perennial disappointment. My dad said oh wait, never. That joke's probably appropriate. Anyway, I'm gonna punch myself a few times here. Just, for punishment for my bad jokes, and just heal myself up and, kind of collect my thoughts here. Ooh. And, well, whatever. All right, let's get back to the game. Can we go trawling for the fish in the sewers? Only if we're allowed to take all the iron pipes. There's a Near Automata reference. Wow.
Come on, PS4.
Yep. No, this is great. This is great. Everything is totally fine about this. I'm going to stub my toe on this thing that I can't see here. And I'm going to watch this kid and hope he trips into this railing just like that. Oh, wow. I got an invisible bow that only has a 1 in 10,000 chance of spawning if you have a specific piece of equipment equipped. Wow. That's really neat. Man, I wonder how that happened. Definitely has nothing to do with the fact that I'm just tired of this game anyway. And just gonna, well, I didn't really mean to close it, but I'm just gonna reopen it anyway.
So, what Kios is making jokes about, the RNG in this game works on a table, and every action consumes a certain number of spots on that table, including opening chests, attacks, healing yourself. Everything consumes a number of spots on the table. And we're able to manipulate where we are on that table at any given time by, actually, there's a really, really nifty calculator you can use to kind of figure out where you're at. It's really cool. It's very useful, even if you're just trying to find some of the rare items in the game. It's great. But when you completely close out of the game on PS4, and I think it's also true for PS5 because it's just using the PS4 game, it completely clears out of the system's memory where you were at on the table. So when you load in a save, it goes, this is where we were at on the RNG table. And the game goes, okay, we can then use Fran's abilities to manipulate where we're at, test that we're going to be right where we want to be, load back into the autosave that we have that is where Vaughn's on the airship, and it's now continuing the placement on the RNG table from where Fran's casting and everything else put us to it, and we run into the invisible chest. And actually this kid's movement is also part of that RNG manipulation, as strange as it does sound. And that's why we're watching for him to be in a certain spot, and we can pull a sight and grab every time.
It is a somewhat tight frame window, but yes, the sight and grab is really, really neat. So the big specifics of this, if you saw, I was basically punching myself with Fran, which advances 10. My normal load-in seed is somewhere on the table between about 310 and 315. So what I do is I punch myself 5 times, which gets me up to 360. And I think I'm looking for 360. I forget what the exact number is, but the healing values that you're looking for in succession are 114, 110, 112. And when I get that, I know that I'm at, I believe, what is technically seed 365. When I load in, it consumes something like 30 or 40,000 RNG. I did not do the physical tracking on that. I only did the tracking on testing when to open the chest. But NPC movement advances RNG. I think it's like four places per second of movement per NPC. Like, you will get RNG values in this game, especially if you run it long enough. Like, when I'm doing manipulation in Deep Henna Mines, where I basically haven't reset the game in 8 or 9 hours, my RNG values are up into the 300,000 or 400,000, and I'm using the RNG helper to manipulate chest spawns, steals, and sometimes, There's something else I think you can manipulate the weather with it as well. Yeah, my attack just jumped from 12 to 255 base, and it also scales off of strength and speed because it's a bow.
It's extremely fascinating to really dig into all of the math and like we were saying, the reason that this run is only really done on PS4, PS5 is because when we try to do this on the Switch, it doesn't hold. It doesn't. I think they found that it doesn't move as consistently. And nobody's tested on Xbox, and with PC, we don't have from what I remember, we don't have a clean way to close it.
Unfortunately, with PC, the RNG table is tied to the RAM clock.
That's what it was.
So the only way to actually view what your current seed is by using something like Cheat Engine. And because of everything else that goes on in this game, the second you're giving players access to Cheat Engine and RAM clock and stuff like that, it makes it very, very difficult to cleanly verify runs. So we just chose to not allow it. To be honest, there are only a few runners of this game who have not done the PS2 run. So for most of us, it's been a pretty tight-knit community. But if you're ever interested in learning the PS2 run or this run, just feel free to reach out. There is a Final Fantasy XII speedrun Discord. You can reach out to me. I don't know if there are any other runners in the chat currently, but I'm generally probably the easiest person to grab. Another person that is regularly streaming Final Fantasy XII content would be a fabulous creator out of Finland by the name of Zero Scotty. They are unequivocally insanely good at this game. You might see Alec K47 in the chat later. He's a big homie of ours.
Oh, hey. I know Alec K.
Yeah. Alec did a lot of early work with routing the 100% or what in this term is plat percent routing for the game. Well, really, really solid. Really, really solid. And also a Sonic speedrunner as well. So, like you mentioned, probably have heard of them before.
I'll tell you now, if you reach out to me about Final Fantasy 12 questions, I can answer some of them, and then we'll probably redirect you to Keo, Harvey, and Zero.
Yeah, or Dessa. Dessa is one of the only people that really didn't run the PS2 version, just kind of picked this game up, got world record, and was like, all right, that was fun. I was like, all right.
I just don't have a rapport with Dessa, so.
Yeah.
It's not somebody I think to go, yeah, you should talk to them. They're great people. I just never had a conversation.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were learning this, Wody. You're doing any percent no sight and grad. Are you doing magic route or Carcata route? So there are a couple other versions of this run, one of which I believe it was Nikki and someone else worked on pretty hardcore, which was basically a reflected magic route, which is basically what the PS2 version is, but obviously with some pretty serious changes because completely different system. And there's another version that doesn't use the sight and grat, but uses instead a manipulated steal of a weapon called Carcata, which you do have to get a license for to actually use. And that basically confuse loops the enemy instead of just straight up one-shotting them. Magic route, yes. Let me get this set up here. Again, a little bit of fast walking here. I missed the Moogle, but I don't think it'll be a big issue. That should be perfect.
This is my favorite mini game.
Yes, got it.
But we did not get Andor's Lies, and I'm very sad.
I just don't feel like being on camera at Google, and the way my stream is set up, my wife's asleep behind me, so like it's kind of weird for me to just sit on camera and people watch my wife sleep. It's a bit awkward for everybody.
It still allows interaction with.
Yeah. To be honest, I literally look like this. I can literally put on this outfit.
It's true.
It is true.
The tattoos are different, though.
Tattoos are different. I am, in fact, Bosch von Ronsenberg of Dalmasca, whether you believe it or not. You can even trust my cat. His name is Marquis Salim Andor IV. He's never told a lie in his entire life.
We're talking about your cat.
Yes, specifically my cat.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. I have a ferret named Freya Crescent, but this is the wrong video game for that. I am a cute cat boy. One day I really want to mess with people and just like start up stream, but instead have Seth voicing me instead. Meow, meow, meow. I'm a pretty cat boy.
Everybody who doesn't know Seth has a very, very deep voice. Probably one of the deepest voices I've ever heard.
Yeah. I will say there is one subject of this run that I have not touched on. If you've noticed, anytime we've gotten a guest party member, I have welcomed them to the party by knocking them unconscious absolutely immediately.
That's very important.
It's very actually important due to the way leveling works. Basically, experience gets shared across the party, you know, just like most video games. But guest party members will take a portion of that experience, and I don't want that. They also sometimes do things that I don't want, like heal my party at inappropriate times or collect aggro from enemies that I don't want. So we like to just kind of handle that by just removing them from the situation entirely. The other reason is I don't like Vosler. He is a big stinky jerk. So he will stay knocked out as long as I am in control of this game.
You will see later in the run that there will be a point that we do not remove the guest member. So pay attention and watch for that.
Yep, and remember when oh, that was dirty. Anyway, this fight's over while I still have enemies up. It's coded very interestingly. So the only members of this fight that matter are the two judges. And because I have my party members set to attack the highest level party or the highest level enemy, well, that's the judges. So I just take those two out and fight's over. Titangrad is the fast boy, so you also don't need a license to use it, so anybody can equip it. And it also has more range than anything else in the game, which is also supremely handy. Like I said about item effect capacity, I had Vaughn cast that, but because it takes a second or two for that to queue the item, or clear the queue, he wouldn't be able to open the door for about 3 seconds. It's quicker to just swap to Bosch and now have Bosch. At this point, it's really kind of inconsequential who's actually leading the party. They're both around the same stats, both around the same HP. Just kind of do the thing. I think Final Fantasy XIII is a good game. To be fair, though, I like most of the Final Fantasy games. I have different opinions, and that's okay. I'm gonna try and ride this out. Thank you.
With all of the different styles that the different Final Fantasy games have, I really do think that there's something that appeals in each Final Fantasy to different people, and I find those as a beautiful thing. The fact that there's no one game that like stands out that everybody agrees is like this one is better, but there's different things people highlight about different ones, and even sometimes when they refer to a certain one, I like this one, and they find a different reason than somebody else might. It's just a beautiful innovation thing to me.
What I personally enjoy about this, besides the fact that they literally went way extra and they didn't even have to with a lot of things in this game, is there are so many play styles in this game. Not even counting the job system. If you want to take your time and be slow and methodical and manually input every command, like almost in a quasi turn-based way, you totally can, and the game's still fun and playable. If you're into faster, automated, like you like macros in your MMO and you just kind of want to cruise through the game, you can totally do that too with minimal supervision. And anywhere in between is also a totally valid option, as well as, you know, then you can start to work on, well, what about my party compositions and stuff like that? It's infinitely playable realistically.
So I remember when I first saw this game, like my first two Final Fantasies were not Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus and Tactics War of the Lions. So when I first saw this game, someone showed me this game and they're like, you like Tactics, right? And I was like, I do. I had the great data loss of 2009, so I never finished. But but I did enjoy like what portion of the game I did play and all the grinding that I did. And they were like, yeah, this is set in Evilis and has like some amount of like similar jobs, and I was like, ooh. And then, you know, so I was interested in watching it. And then Balthier hooked me. I haven't played this game yet. I need to. I just haven't had the time or bandwidth to be able to sit down and commit to another big JRPG.
Understandable.
But when you're saying like Final Fantasy has something for everyone, it's absolutely true, because Dirge of Cerberus, like Final Fantasy didn't appeal to me until Dirge of Cerberus existed, and it was just like, hey, you like Ratchet and Clank, right? You like being able to play a third-person shooter, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Well, here, have an RPG third-person shooter. And I was like, I'm down for this.
Okay.
Nobody else really likes Dirge of Cerberus that I've met, but I do.
I enjoyed it, and shout outs to like the 3 people that speedrun it, including our boy Cosmic.
Ooh.
He's been mad hype about that. All right, menuing time. This is going to be a long one, so I'll probably start trying to answer questions from chat. Someone mentioned, yeah, I said macros. Realistically, the Gambit system is like introduction to computer programming. That's like the best way I can describe it, because basically you just set up a bunch of if-then conditions. That's basically what it is. And like you basically set out like, oh, if my party member's HP is below 50%, do this. And then you rank them in order of priority. Obviously, the ones at the top being the most important, the ones at the bottom being the least. And if certain conditions are met, they'll just continue to skip down the list. So maybe not like you hit one button and everything does itself, but it does give you that option. You also get a total of you can set 3 sets of gambits per character, which is also pretty nice. They really give you a lot of flexibility to just kind of change things almost on the fly. Shout outs to Mutsky. Love Mutsky. Dude's a real homie. For me personally, like I've never like emphatically said like, oh, this is the best game of all time. But I've also never emphatically been like, this is the worst game of all time.
Did we lose Kyo's mic for a moment?
Did we? Maybe? No.
You were showing up on
I'm
green
still
for a
showing
It's
while.
been cutting in and out of Discord a little bit.
I could probably pop myself in and out really quick once I finish.
No, because you'll mess up the stream and then I'll be behind and I'll be mad.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. It was just like a moment
Yeah,
where
okay.
like you just dropped for multiple words in Discord, and I was like, I didn't even get any words after like a certain cutoff point to make the context for that. So hopefully stream
Rich is not letting me express my true opinions.
No, your mic is fine on stream. It's
You're
just
fine to
here
stream,
in
it's just
Discord.
us.
Yeah, it's on us. Like Alfina and I are just like, what the hell did he say?
It was just so awful. It was expunged from existence.
Yeah, stream chat can hear you just fine. So you're all good there. Everyone else knows what you said. It's a mystery to us.
Good. So very long series of menus there. Basically what I did, the long and the short of it, the main goal is to get Ash Kira, and I have now set her that anytime any of our party members is under 50% health, she's gonna cast Kira, which is good. I also have set everyone to basically in a loop revive each other if they go down. I'm actually gonna pop back here just for marathon luck. And I have set the boys to just continually attack the highest priority, highest level target. I am now going to pray to whatever deities I choose to believe in at this particular point in time, and I am looking for 1 stone. I am looking for 1 teleport stone from the about 50 enemies I'm going to kill.
RNG,
Hopefully we get lucky, if not.
RNG says that
Me?
we should get this. Our actual luck says we probably
I probably
we have backup strats, but we don't like them.
Yeah, I lose about 40 seconds on good pace.
There
There
we go.
it is. All right, let's roll.
Yo,
We
let's
have a
go.
run.
Now, Yep, now basically I'm not gonna go out of my way to kill anything. I'm just gonna, if it's in front of me, I'll take it. If it drops and I don't have to move too much, I'll grab it.
So the way that we got that stone, those of you who are paying attention and are new to this game, you'll notice there's something popping up over all of the health bars that says something chain. The number keeps going up. Once you get above a certain chain level, or each time you kind of level up the chain, it's every 10, I think.
It's varied. You can get it as early as 4 realistically,
But
I've seen.
you, by doing that, it increases the quality of the loot that drops, as well as a few other things. But so we're doing it to try to get those gold drops, which gives us the higher chance of getting that teleport stone.
Yeah, the chain mechanic is very interesting in this game. Realistically, the longer you go without picking up drops, the quicker the chain should level. Oh, there's a boss. There was a boss. Goodbye, boss.
By the way, at this point in time of the run, if there's a boss, you blink and you might miss it.
Couple rounds of attacks and it's gone. What is the duck status called in this game? Decoy. We don't use it in this run, but decoy is actually, I think, one of the coolest status effects that has ever come out of Final Fantasy. It's like the exact opposite of disease, which I hate. So decoy is a status that literally concentrates aggro on whoever you cast it on. And it's really, really important to the PS2 run and part of the plat % run. But it's just a very interesting concept. Like, people think like, oh, targeting aggro, like that's weird. Like, why would you want to be able to do that in a single player game? Until you realize how strategy works. Ooh, interesting. A null on Ash, which means no healing.
Most of the time, when you're playing this game casually, you're gonna run from that demon wall. As you can see, we make short work of it.
All right, fine, I'll do it. There you go. With added reverb.
One of the things you're trying to pay attention to with Demon Wall, especially the first one, is the fact that it can cast, what is it, X-Zone?
Yep, X-Zone and Telega and Sleep.
Mostly I'm looking at X-Zone, which throws them out of the rest of that fight. When you go to the next one, they're back, but for that fight. So if we were to lose Bosch or Vaughn, our damage goes down, which makes it take a little bit longer. If we lose Ash, our healing is gone.
Which is not great.
Which is never good. So there's, you really want to see no X-Zone, but the game is a troll.
Speaking of trolls.
No, Mutski's never run a Final Fantasy game. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't. That Mutsky guy, all I know is world record holder for Pong.
Yeah.
Fabulous Pong player.
Yeah.
And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 speedrunner. Yep. Anyway, we've now made our way to the Tomb of Wraithwall to grab something called the Dawn Shard, which is rather important. As we now have Ash with us, she is the true heir to the Dalmascan throne, which was overthrown by Vayne Solidor. So we're here to collect the Dawn Shard, which should give us the power to start understanding a thing called Magicite and Nethicite. They're very important magical, basically stones that contain incredible amounts of power. You keep fibbing like that, I'm gonna send you, Ondor. You can have him. Oh, freezy. Very nice grab. But we're also gonna meet what is our first Esper of the run. Espers are basically very, very powerful beings, or summons, or eidolons, or, you know, however you choose to consume your Final Fantasy. It's one of those things. This one is Belias. He has fire. This sounds like plot. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Like, some people don't actually know the story, and I'm one of them. So I just, you know, kind of feed a little bit of tidbit into it.
It's a really good story. It's a really complex story. We can give you little bits of it, and you still will have more story to explore.
if you like Star Wars, the moral this game is like
Yes.
Star Wars. It's basically Star Wars, except half the bad guys aren't that bad, to be honest. And well, except Bergen, that dude is a dumpster fire of a human. And I mean, not in like the fun, happy way either. He's literally a piece of dirt. Yeah, Aeons. I forgot about Aeons if you're a Final Fantasy X fan. It's like the same thing. Except everyone has the ability to summon them. You can have, honestly, I think as many as the license board allows, but it is tied to only one person being able to summon the specific creature.
Yes.
The only ones we care about are Belias. Even in the plat percent run, I think I get a Dramelech just because it gives Bosch access to Wither.
Yep.
The only ones we care about are Zeromus and Belias. We will not see Zeromus in this one because we're not running plat percent. I don't have to deal with the judges fight. Bergen is stinky. Vana is a heretic, however. Wait until I get to try and explain the Acuria to you. All right, so you know when like Obi-Wan's like just like a disembodied voice, like a spirit? Yeah, that's like the Acuria.
That's a simplification.
It is. The OST was done by Hitoshi Sakamoto. That's right. Kios is on a stream. He's going to tell you who did the composition. Fabulous. Lots of brass and lots of woodwind. Hey, look, it's Vosler, except he betrayed us. And guess what? He's gone. See ya, buddy. You earned it.
You wonder why we didn't.
Told you he was a jerk.
You wonder why we say we don't like Vossler.
All this talk about
To be
Sky
honest-
Pirates, by the way, makes me just want speed runs of Skies of Arcadia.
I know someone who used to run it. I'm pretty sure. At least I think I do.
Needs more Sky Pirates.
It just makes me think of Airship Pirates and oh god, what is his name? Abney Park, who's Carolyn Hines' son, which is a whole trip in and of itself. Shout outs to the anthropologists in chat that know what I'm on about. All literally probably none of you. Cool. Good pop culture reference, Kios. They'll really get that one. Idiot. Anyway, I hope you like Moogles. We got more Moogles. This is Gertie.
Love Gertie.
Look at those wings.
Oh, the wings are going. They're going.
Oh, she's a flapping.
They are
I
flapping flap.
I don't know why I turboed there, but hi, welcome to Chocobo with turbo boost at 4 times speed.
What?
It's literally just motion blur.
I didn't know we were suddenly playing Sonic Unleashed.
I actually can't run this part. Like, I can't do it this fast. It triggers my motion sickness. I actually am not even watching the run at the moment because I can't.
Literally, the feeling of hitting the X button on a Chocobo in this is literally like when I first went full throttle on a sports bike. It is terrifying power. You fly off the back of it. Yeah, it was really funny as all my friends watched me basically Supermaning a motorcycle into oncoming traffic. I laughed. They didn't. There we go. All right, so now in our quest for even more knowledge of realistically what we need to do with this Dawn Shard and basically where we can go from here, we're reaching out to a race that is not seen in, I think, pretty much any other Final Fantasy game except this one. These are the Garif. They are kind of like the elders of the land in a sense. They have obviously a very native aesthetic, but their history is they've been around a very long time and kind of keepers of the Acuria, along with the Nemu, I believe is the race, or the Mu, technically, who do appear in other Final Fantasy games.
But they have really cool masks.
They do. And claws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first thing that really caught me when I played this game casually many years ago was just how dramatically, thematically, and stylistically different all of the locations were. There are so many influences in this game, and none of the major points along the way really look the same. Even like the random, yeah, I'm in a field having a battle places are very different. Our next big menu here is I'm going to offload a bunch of stuff I don't need. And I'm going to start equipping my party with stuff that, you know, I probably should have had a while ago. Don't need all that junk up in my trunk. I got an extra, I'll buy one just in case things go wrong. Not a rust. All these. Definitely don't need that. Woof. Lord, I don't need those. Ooh, 3 green liquid, 2 iron scrap, a little on the low side there. 16 earthstone, only 2 succulent fruit. My money is a little bit shorter than where I'd like it to be, but I'm gonna grab 2 winged helms. They're heavy armor, so they're gonna give us a good bit of defense, but they also have the added bonus of me forgetting to buy that potion. I can't, there we go, thank you. They also have the added bonus of, I think it gives us like +2 or 3 speed, which normally is like whatever. But the way the Seitengrat works, that's going to give us a nice little bump in damage.
I don't know if we mentioned exactly what the Seitengrat, but it scales off of both strength and speed. So anything we can do to increase our strength and or speed stat is going to increase our damage. What is it? Base to
base damage on it is 255.
55. And it was 2
and
something
it also
5.
has, yeah, it's max aggro range times 1.5 as well. So we can literally outrange things.
Yep.
If you were around for questing for glory or popped into that run, I did a little showcase on how to beat Yasmat in about 5.5 minutes or so. You can basically a lot of times attack things before they even recognize you're in the area with Seitengrat, which you can use very, very strategically, and it's very nice. Shout outs to Plat Percent, where you literally take down a Dramelech before you even see it. Hey, here's another Chocobo with Gertie. Yeah, if you sell a specific amount of loots or specific pieces of loot, you get bazaar items, which are really cool. Like, there's a lot of really interesting things they tried with this game. Some of it stuck, some of it didn't. But yeah, I loved it. Like, it was always cool. Like, I would get excited when it's like, ooh, I have a new bazaar item. That means I must have sold like a weird combination of things to get here. Anyway, I grabbed this spare potion just in case I somehow made a mistake. If we didn't get that teleport stone, if you look very quickly to the right before I start moving, well, it would have been the left, whatever. There are 2 Imperial Guards. While we are obviously not wanting to deal with any of them, as we just basically, broke out of prison, killed Vosler, who was working for the Empire, and, killed one of the judges, obviously a very important person in the Empire. They're like, hey, my partner's really sick. Can you spare a potion? We'll be like, begrudgingly, yeah, sure. And they'll be like, hey, cool. Well, I don't really need this Chocobo anymore. You can have him if you want for free. And that's how we would get around the fact that we're not going to teleport. Anyway, welcome to the very, very secret village of Eriut. This is where Fran lives. Those of you that do play Final Fantasy XIV, you will notice that, yes, there are no men here. They're out doing things. Basically, that's how it works. And they're also shorter. I like Penelo. She's tougher than she looks. I'm hitting my air horn button and no one can stop me. Anyway, we basically talked to them and they're like, hey, things are going wrong. The Forest of the Soul is angry. Oh, by the way, your friend Mirn is missing. I think it's Mirn. And she was last seen in the mine. We're like, all right, well, I guess we go check the mine. I'm going to grab this dope shielded armor first. Shielded armor, as it sounds, is really good armor. And it also comes with the inherent protect status on it. So we're going to take a little bit less physical damage, which is very nice. Yeah, the Viera Male do exist. They just, canonically, lore-wise, even from Final Fantasy XII, they don't inhabit the village. They are out doing other things.
Yep.
Again, this game has a lot of lore, and I mentioned earlier that it does go a bit extra in a lot of places that it didn't, including individually texturing hair on a PS2 model. Most games have a bestiary. It's like, oh, a nice little picture and like a summary. This has multiple pages and the full 3D model that you can rotate, zoom, place. It's above and beyond anything that was really needed to be done with it. And it still continuously blows my mind to this day that this game was only one DVD. Kind of like a lot of people like FF6 is really good. It has so much content and incredible music, and like all of that jammed onto one Super Nintendo cartridge is mind-blowing. Cool. So now we've, oh, it's Larsa, or they were Lamont. Well, I guess they're Larsa. As it turns out, the little lad that we met in Bajerba was actually Vane's brother, who basically was trying to lure us into a trap. And, you know, we've had some stern words with him since. And now he's here to help us out. So as I welcome him to the party, like I do with everyone else, he gets knocked out. Basically because he's just going to steal my experience, and I desperately need it. The way the next boss fight works, if I'm under a certain level, it's generally a recipe for a bad time because the boss mechanic uses a certain annoying skill that I can do nothing to counteract. Potion vending machine, Larsa. Not in this version. 17. We are +1, and I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Just makes it safer in the end. Rest of party should be slightly behind. We're gonna say hi to our Final Fantasy XII PS2 friends, the Jellies, and we shall bid them adieu. Goodbye.
That with the fast walking animation. Just
Yep, just walk right by him. Zoop. We'll take one last bat here. No, nope, thought he was gonna get away. All right, Von's 17, attackers are 17, that's fine. Yeah, it's only 3 gigabytes of data, and a lot of it is like the fully rendered cutscenes. There are a lot of cutscenes in this game, by the way. It adds about 7 hours to the game, plus or minus. Anyway, we'll bring Larsa back because, well, they're somewhat useful here, I think. And I'm just gonna walk around, and we're not gonna get Disable Good on open because I have a party level 17. Anyway, hi Tiamat, goodbye Tiamat. Hey, Larsa's down. Oh, cows are dead. Shout outs to John Boys in Secret Base. But yeah, Larsa's gone. Goodbye, Larsa. Yeah, 100% time, even if you're manipulating and know what you're doing, not speedrun, but if you're gonna do like a completionist, I'd like to get one of every item. Even with speed strats, you're still looking probably close to 100 to 120 hours. And that's like if you're me and you've spent years in this game and kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Flat percent, if you're just an absolute ultra human like Zero, is just under 10 hours. For an average bloke like myself, you're looking at around probably 12 to 14, depending on how you deal with it. But that's literally just getting all the trophies. That is not maxing the party to 999. That's not completing license boards. And that's with basically just pure speed in mind. Anyway, we're gonna fight our way through here. Yeah, Lars is gone. Oh, Lars is gone. I'm gonna slide everyone past that trap. That is like the worst trap in the game. We're gonna get lucky with a scream there and not get completely wiped or confused. The worst status ailment in this game, and the thing that I always need to keep an eye out for, is a status ailment called Confuse. Those of you that have probably played literally any RPG know that a confused status generally means the character is not going to do what you tell it to do. And there's probably a pretty high chance that they're going to attack your party too. Well, unfortunately, when you have 2 party members with basically, you know, laser beams strapped to their head in the form of a Seitengrat, if I have had it that I have literally wiped in under a second. You'll probably see me worry about it more at a boss about 45 minutes from here, roughly. Where if it casts one spell, it'll confuse the party, and I basically have to turbo unequip everybody, let them punch themselves a couple of times, and then just get back on with it.
Yep.
It does not increase the in-game time, Cabra. which is another interesting thing. A lot of rare enemies in this game only spawn within a certain in-game timetable. Also, the second place we went, Giza, also goes through a wet and dry cycle. I didn't really call it out because I don't really spend much time there. It don't really matter. But now, at the behest of our friends from the Tomb of Wraithwall, we have made it out to Mount Buro Masase to convene with the Grand Kiltius, who is a great and powerful sage, I think. We also meet a guy named Al Cid, who has sunglasses and a bare chest and
I like
probably
Al
a
Cid.
hangover. Al Cid is fabulous, but you can tell that dude definitely reeks of last night's gin and probably gets a little bit too comfortable with people too quickly. He's a good dude, though, but he definitely wears his sunglasses inside, and that's always a deduction from me.
I guess I get in trouble. 'cause
Anyway,
I wear
Larsa
sunglasses
leaves.
inside.
I've worn sunglasses inside, usually because I have a migraine.
Yep, migraine, hangover, just general photosensitivity. It happens.
Yep.
But like,
I'm mostly just too
they're not,
lazy to
like-
swap my regular glasses.
You can tell this is self-inflicted, though. Like, you meet him and he's just like, hey, man. You're just like, you're the diplomat? Like, you're the dude that we're kind of relying this plan on? Like, I'm going to the Still Shrine of Miriam, which is like, you know, a pretty heavily guarded place. Like, y'all have guards out front. And I have to have the Dawn Shard to access this place because the magic's so intense? Oh, this is really comforting coming from a man that very clearly had way too much to drink last night and just, you know, kind of rolled out of bed to get here because you were late for meeting us with the Grand Kiltius anyway. It's a bit disconcerting and concerning at the same time. This sucks so bad. It's a masterpiece. if literally every Final Fantasy 12 TZA any percent speedrun I've done.
This is fine.
This is fine. The good news is I have the right party member in the lead. So, as I mentioned, this place is heavily guarded and we need the Dawn Shard to unlock the doors, otherwise bad things happen. So, you're gonna get the Dawn Shard. Vaughn, who was a little bit short earlier. Oh, look, we beat Belias. Now we can get our second license board, which I know I've explained previously, but a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'd love to just have the ability to have access to everything. If you're smart about what you choose, if you pick 2 correct jobs, you should have access to about 80 to 90% of what's available on the previous job board. Anyway, welcome to the Tomb of Wraithwall. As I said, we have equipped the Dawn Shard, which is really cool. It gives us massive resistance to magic, mainly because it sucks it in and nullifies it. Unfortunately, that means that we have 0 MP for whoever it's equipped. Good news, I have a Seitengrad on Bosch. I don't need magic. I don't need no stinking magic. But having this equipped allows us to teleport to the right place and start to work our way through the Still Shrine of Miriam, which is guarded by 2 very powerful entities. 2, you say? Yes. The Matriarch Bomb in a hidden room, which actually doesn't guard anything. It's just a rare hunt. Rather fun because there's a whole bunch of traps in front of it and it's incredibly loud. But an Esper by the name of Mateus, which is a very interesting Esper. Yes, the Zodiac license board is different from the original because it compartmentalizes most of it into 12 jobs. Each character can have up to 2 jobs, giving them access to 2 unique license boards. So you can pretty much make a beefy character that, you know, think of like a dual class, you know?
There is no Dino in this run.
There is no Dino Gorons. No Dino Gorons allowed. Anyway, there are teleporty horses, though, which are not as fun as secret tunnels, but teleporty horse! I would recommend it. You can generally find this game on sale. It's pretty neato. If you want to try and manipulate the Seitengrad or, you know, potentially manipulate anything in the game, please stick to the PS4 or PS5 version. You'll be very upset or have to use PC Engine, which is fine if you don't ever plan on speedrunning it on PC. All right. Still Shrine's cool. Actually, I forgot. Still Shrine used to be one of the biggest breaks in the plat percent game, or in the plat percent run, but now it's the biggest farming.
Yep.
We manipulate a specific chest to give us like 60,000 gil multiple times over. It's pretty dope. Then if you get really bored, you can just kind of farm Dragon Avises for a couple of levels. I love this game, but the speedrun is absolutely haunting sometimes. Anyway, I'm gonna spin these statues because this game loves its puzzles. I'm gonna face that inwards and we're just gonna get along. So the PC version, if you plan on speedrunning it, you have to learn a different version of it, and the only way to like manipulate or figure out where you are on the RNG table is by using PC Engine and basically actively monitoring the RAM clock. There's nothing wrong with it. They all run great. It's just like if you want to specifically use the Seitengrat in your playthrough, like I am, you're kind of limited on options, unfortunately. Oh, we love the Final Fantasy XIV community. 90% of my community plays it. I don't, because I have a crippling addiction to MMORPGs.
I totally didn't spend every minute up until we were live tonight on 14.
Woo!
I'm actually really glad that I have not fallen back into the Phantasy Star Online 2. I don't have any other word for it other than addiction that I had.
New Scar's dead. Thanks for the Sage Ring. 10,000 gil.
If anybody's noticed, we are running around to a bunch of statues and rotating them around.
Spinning them. I got the statue troll though. Unfortunately, because this animation is sped up, I have to sit here and wait, and it looks like I'm doing nothing.
Yep.
It really depends on what you want to do. Like, I've found great success with Ash and Pinello. So the plat percent run, which is much longer and requires us to be a bit more diverse with our skills, runs the boys as Monk Time Mage, which gives us access to all the HP lores, all of the battle lores, the important techniques which deal with breaking down enemies' defenses and strength, as well as all of the heavy armor. And then Ash just absolutely rocks it as White Mage, Black Mage. Just a great combo. But there are definitely builds that work together a lot better. Obviously, you know, going something like Black Mage and then like Machinist, well, that's not really going to help because you're kind of splitting what you're doing there. Anyway, now that we've completely opened all the statues, the big statue in the middle has pulled his sword up. Monk Time Mage. In this run, we're going to do Ulan Shikari, mainly because Ulan gives us the quickest access to focus and Golden Amulet, and Shikari gives us the quickest access to Sash, which is super important because it gives our boys plus 30 to speed, which is huge in terms of damage. Anyway, this is Mateus. I have to be very careful. Don't attack the Ice Azers, they'll kill you. Oh, Ash is dead. Oh, Mateus is dead. Whoops. All right, that was fun. I got another Esper. Would it help if I made the airplane noises?
Just as you're walking, you make like the airplane noises you make to a kid, like trying to like zoom their food into their mouth.
Yep. I mean, I still have to do that to myself some days. Generally just to maintain my grip on reality. My poor partner sits around and is like, what is wrong with you? I'm just nomming.
I'm just making myself eat.
Yeah.
It's one of those days, so.
Yeah, you gotta have some sort of small enjoyment in the day. All right, so that was cool. We got the Mateus, and I got a really nifty sword. It's a very cool sword in the fact that it's two-handed. You don't need a license to wield it, and it has an exceptionally high evasion rate, which is really neato. Yep.
My
Oh. It's the best, I'm telling you.
my partner's been losing it at the 4x speed. Like he came over and was like, I'm losing it at the 4x speed after Kios was like, it looks like you walk away and use the bathroom all of a sudden. And I'm still like, that was 15 minutes into the run and I'm still laughing at it.
I told
The
you
bad
that
case
you
of the
would
oopsie
never
poopsies.
unsee it. I wasn't making that up. You will
were.
never unsee it.
Unfortunately, while we were gone, one of the Imperial judges, has decided to show up and murder the Grand Kiltius. Remember how I said some of the bad guys weren't that bad? Well, this is the bad guy. This is Bergen. This is also where Amber is forcing me to take a break. So I'm gonna put Bergen down real quick. He's also a jerk in the speedrun because he has the ability to block, yes, block magic.
Yep.
It's who? Why? But unfortunately, he can only block so many of these arrows. Goodbye, Bergen. We're not worried about that. I'll give you need like, what, 5 minutes?
Something like that. I just want to encourage everyone, including myself, because I need a stretch break. Here at GDQ, we do like to encourage people to take care of themselves. So get up, walk around, take care of yourself, get a drink, get a snack. I might go get a PB&J. Who knows? But I just also want to remind everyone that if you, hey, it's Balthier, best character in the
is.
game.
It's like I picked this cutscene for a reason.
Exactly.
He said his very bones about with manufactured
But I just want to
medicide.
remind everyone that if you did
The
miss
Grand
out on the
Kiltius.
Hotfix shows that have aired already, or if you missed out on the first half
what
of
about
this and you
Martha?
want to catch it,
Gone.
catch the
Spirited away
replay. You
by
can catch
Jushka
that
Brandt.
on our YouTube channel, or if you just want to catch the highlights, which are mostly just going to be a lot of jokes. That's what I tend to highlight is all the funny parts.
As for a young lordling, he went along.
Up to and
To avoid
including
trouble, you
all
see,
of the
but
laughter at the
Bergen
walk
had
cycles
other
here.
ideas. He flew into
I didn't
a
do
rage and
anything.
was left to fend for himself.
Exactly. You can check that out over at the Sum of Best GDQ
Please,
Sum of Best
princess, you must
Segments
permit me to
channel.
take you
It's a
back with
highlight
me to
channel
Rosaria.
with regular videos like our main YouTube channel,
So
but with
that you can
small,
protect me?
bite-sized,
I would
digestible
lay down my
highlight
life
reels
and
for
a
all of our
small
main
word to
events
be
and
sure,
hotfix.
but I harbor
Type
no
exclamation point
wandering
highlights
delusions
in
of
chat for
grandeur.
more information.
Vain has our
And
war
yeah, just
pavilion jumping
we're
at
gonna take a quick
shadows.
break.
They
We'll see
favor
you
a
all back
preemptive
here in about
strike,
5
but
minutes.
you will convince them otherwise. You will see that they do not start this war.
This I cannot do. Forgive me, but my errand here is not yet done. I must wield the Sword of Kings, and with it bring an end to the Dusk Shard.
This stone, do you even know what it is?
I can venture a guess. The Draclaw Laboratory in Arcades. The Empire's weapons research begins and ends there. How soon do we leave?
At once. As for matters in Rosaria, I bid you luck.
So you would leave each to fend for his own. Let us hope that you are not disappointed. Ah, that's right. Larsa left a message. The differences between our two lands will fade before the shared dream of men. My leave, I take.
How do you propose we reach Arcades? Arcadia's borders will be well guarded for fear of Rosarian invasion. We dare not approach by air.
And their navy will see that the coast is watched as well. No, we go afoot. We'll cross into Arcadia in the Salika Wood. We can reach the wood any number of ways, but the easiest is to head north from Nalbina.
There is a hunter's camp just beyond the Salika Wood. The camp sits within Arcadia's borders, so Imperial patrols there should be sparse.
Getting that far should be half the fun. Let's be sure we go prepared.
Well, now I'm never gonna PB. Oh well, who cares? Anyway, for those of you that caught up on the story, we now have to make our way to the Rosarian Empire, which is over in Arcades. However, Arcades is the capital city of the Imperials, so it's not like we're just gonna walk up to the front gates and be like, hey, you wanna let us in? They'll be like, no, back to jail. Recidivist? Oh.
You're gonna send me back to jail? Why would you do that to me?
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna teleport back to here. If y'all remember, this is right from where we escaped. And I'm gonna grab this chocobo. And away we go. We're gonna visit a new place here called the Mosphoran Highways. It's pretty cool. The music's pretty dank. And there's an Esper hidden in here that you get to by moving around a bunch of Steam platform. Just grab the chocobo because it's faster. I have a couple extra dollars to spend so I can afford it. And then we're gonna work our way through this really neat area. Very beautiful. I'm gonna grab these thieves cuffs. That's 1,300 gil I'm desperately going to need later. Avoid our next trap. Y'all feel better. I'm gonna grab some of these drops along the way. Not too many of them. I was hoping for a tanned hide there. It's a little bit more money, or a giant feather. I have 2 chests here. Balance moat, which isn't great, and a pair of ghillie boots, which I wish were wheelie boots, because that would be hilarious. Imagine 4 times speed with my wheelies. That's right. They make Heelys in adult sizes. The more you know.
I
I
actually
know
do that
someone
already.
who actually owns adult-size Heelys.
Are they the coolest person you know?
They are, because they also like restore and build pinball machines. So definitely the coolest person I know.
I don't think anyone in my life would be okay with me having a pair of Heelys.
I wouldn't be okay
Is
with
this
having a pair
is this
of
a
Heelys.
self-preservation thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It is very much the look at me and go, Alfina, you are a klutz and you are going to continuously fall on your face. Please stop.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Like that's exactly why I would not be allowed to have Heelys.
Mhm.
I would probably, instead of my face, I'd be falling on my butt all the time. I'd probably not have a tailbone that's in one piece.
I'm very good at falling forward. I don't know why, but when I probably should fall backwards, somehow I still manage to fall forward.
Sorry, my brain shut down for a second there. That's embarrassing. All right. I put the cart before the horse.
Try to talk to the Moogles
That's right.
first.
No, I did not talk to the Moogles first. I had one of those moments where I was just like, yeah, let's get this over with. I was distracted by someone comparing this to Final Fantasy 15 and trying not to be mad about it. It's okay. 15 holds a special place in my heart because I have multiple world records in the game and have probably spent more time playing it than like any other human. I'll just that for another time. Anyway, I hope you like Moogles. I've told you they're really cute in this game. Be prepared to meet some even cuter Moogles because guess what? It's nap time. I couldn't care less. There we go.
So all the Moogle workers here have been on break, and we were told, hey, can you go let them know that break time's over? And we were like, you know what? We will go and find all 9 of the Moogles that are on break and tell them that their break time is over. So
Here's 2 of them.
yeah. Luckily, you don't have to go find 9 individual, like that. You're gonna go find them in groups. The game is a little nice.
Okay, but look how they walk off. It's hilarious.
You're the best.
Oh.
I imagine that when they run, they make the same noise that my ferret does when it's trying to be aggressive. It just goes, which is not terrifying at all. It's adorable.
These Moogles remind me of chinchillas.
Right?
They're very furry. That was the other thing that I really enjoyed about this game. I mentioned the architecture. The clothing and costume design is insanely good. Also, I saw someone mention Balthier's voice actor, Gideon Emery.
Yeah.
Our friend Mutsky, who was in chat, was convinced to play this game and came to the realization that it was, in fact, actually good. And I don't know why I keep just wanting to get this over, because I'm just making an absolute free time. This needs to go over here. Yeah, I think the whole I didn't skip the cutscene just messed with my head a little bit. There we go. Now we're on the right track.
Restart the brain.
But someone paid for Gideon Emery to do a cameo to let people know that Mutsky believes that Final Fantasy XII is a good video game. It was a good time. It's kind of almost as good as Rivers McCown getting Dikembe Mutombo to record a cameo message for the winner of the Free Enterprise tournament, which I still think is one of the most hilarious gaming moves in the history of gaming.
Like, it's actually funny with Balthier's voice actor. His Japanese Seiyu, or his Japanese voice actor, also voices like a number of other pirates, including the Japanese dub for Jack Sparrow in Kingdom Hearts 2, and Sanji in one of the One Piece, either the anime or one of the games. And there's like another one that I forgot, like I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but yeah, like just a lot of pirates.
So the voice acting in this game was very interesting. All the voice actors were basically told, read a lot of Shakespeare, get comfortable with it. Fran's voice actors specifically listened to a lot of Bjork, because that's kind of like the weird ethereal kind of Scandislavian accent they were looking for. But yes, 15 is a good game, shares nothing in common with this one. Anyway, I talked to the Moogle boss. Really cool, by the way. As a reward for gathering all the Moogles, they're like, hey, do you want us to just teleport you right to the gate? And you can be like, yes, and you save a lot of time. We also got that sash. I mentioned that earlier. The Moogle boss basically is just like, hey, here's an extra reward from me because you stopped and talked to me. Have this sash. It halves fire damage. Oh, and by the way, gives you 30 speed for your awesome strength plus speed build bow. Yes, like the musician, Bjork. Bjork, not like the Swedish chef.
That's why is that? Now Fran doing Swedish chef lines popped into my head, and that's not what I needed right now.
Dinga-dinga-durgan. So, I mean, that's intentional, Baku, because the story of 15 is so heavy, they wanted to make the side quests less so. Anyway, like I mentioned, here's our second job board. Wow! You get access to it really early. Basically, you get access to it after you take down Belias. And this is going to be a pretty long menu. What I'm doing is giving Vaughn access to Hikari board, all the way up to Heavy Armor 7, a couple of HP lures, and Focus, which is a really cool augment that basically, whenever we have full HP, you get a little boost to damage. I think it's like 20 or 25%. With Ash over here, I'm just gonna make my way almost aimlessly across the board, grabbing Spellbreaker, which increases our magic when our health is critical. So basically I'll heal for a little bit more if our health is low. And grabbing that very important Bubble Belt. My LP is a little bit low, but she also did not survive Bergen. No worries, it'll be fixed later. Bosch gonna follow the same thing that Vaughn did. However, instead of grabbing Accessories 7 here to get to the second job board, we're gonna give him Belias. Belias is required for story, you'll see later. So we have one Esper and a Mist Summon. And then second job, and Shikari. We're gonna back this out, bring it back in, swap boards, and we're gonna get HP lore 2 all the way over to 5. And then we're gonna take focus. And like I mentioned, the way we have this routed, it's very important that we choose these boards. We get very early access to focus. And when I swap back to the Shikari board, wow, this gives us access to Sash. It's right here. It's almost like we planned it.
Wow. Imagine
And
planning
I'm gonna grab that
things.
last HP lore. So now that I have this, I'm gonna remove my armor because we don't need it. That's gonna come off. Dawn Shard, don't need it anymore. There's Stash. And we're gonna swap those off of Ash as well. We're also gonna change her Gambit to start healing people when they get below 70. We're gonna talk to this vendor of goods here at the Hunter's Camp. And I'm gonna basically sell literally everything I do not need. Right now, I need roughly about 35,000 gil, plus or minus. I did get an extra ice shield, which might make all the difference, and the ghillie boots, which is an extra 350. Bolts, don't need those. High potions, I'll sell all of them but one. Whoops. Soleil Fang, definitely don't need those. Balance mode, goodbye. Potion, you're out of here. Crooked Fang, very nice, bunch of those. Our money is actually looking like it's in pretty okay shape. The only concern is Ash is a little behind where I want her to be. It's not catastrophic. I'm intentionally trying to run this ahead. Our money is great. So I'm gonna buy 2 diamond armor, which are a huge defense boost, literally doubling what we had previously, and grab the steel mask, which instead of giving us extra speed, gives us extra strength. I'm gonna slide over here, and because I can early, I'm gonna buy 24 Bacchus wine. I'm gonna do a quick check on our Phoenix down count. I'm gonna grab us 1,000 more, or 11 more of those, not 1,000. And I'm gonna talk to Gertie, who's like, hey,
If we need
you want another
1,000
chocobo?
more Phoenix Downs, this run has
You
gone
can get-
incredibly sideways.
Look, I joke about, yeah, like people are like, oh, you set the gambits and you win. But if you set your gambits wrong, you can actually lose or just infinitely loop yourself. And it's a terrifying experience.
We're gonna grab 1,000 more Phoenix Downs, and it's like, wait, what? Like, I was just listening to
I
you
like the
menu.
feather.
It's like, we're gonna grab
Wow.
a few more of this, 10 more of that, 1,000 more of this. Like, wait, what?
Wow, a gallon? Yep, a gallon. Wow, that's
Pulling the
illegal.
Phoenix down. Get your Phoenix down. We got it by the gallon.
Look, I'm just reselling it for later. Market influences. Anyway, we're gonna talk to this kid in this beat up Banga who's basically like, yeah, this dude's a wuss. Can you go fight these things? And if you saw the drawing, it's literally in crayon. We don't actually know what we're fighting. It's just like, hey, here's a key, fight whatever. So this is how we are going to get into Arcades, because legend has it, run the jewels. Legend has it, if we go into Sochin Palace Cave, there's a back way into the low streets of Arcades, and we can maybe sneak our way in that way undetected. Sochin Palace Cave sucks. Ding dong. It is awful. Casually, it is difficult. You are going to face a lot of enemies, and the only place you can really recuperate, guess what? It's actually a trap. We haven't mentioned it, and I already passed one earlier in the game, but there is an enemy that literally looks like a save crystal, and when you go to interact with it, it melts your face off, generally with super high-powered magic. So, those Bacchus wine that I grabbed earlier, they are awesome. What they do is they inflict berserk on your party. Well, the person that you use it on. Bad news is you can't control them. Good news is they attack 1.5 times faster and do 1.5 times more damage. Welcome to the cutest boss fight in the game. I'm gonna let the cutscene play because I need to crack my wrists here, and it's just too adorable.
Oh, it's a baby.
It's 5.
They are the stronger cousins of the rogue tomato,
Yep.
the first boss of the game. But there's an owl rune, there's a radish, there's an onion, there's a pumpkin,
Garlic.
and they just kind of float away.
Oh.
I love that the
That one just grabbing for its disembodied head.
I love that the pumpkin head falls off.
Now I'm stuck in this cutscene. I forgot that's what happens. Oh well.
Everyone's just gonna stand around.
Yep. Well,
Normally they'd be showing off their weapons.
We have invisible.
But,
yeah, we have invisible bows, so they just hold water skins instead. Anyway, I am now kind of stuck here because Ash got slept in the middle of this fight, so I have to wait. Actually, I was
unfortunately,
gonna
yeah, with the boys, berserked and Ash asleep, you just kind of have to stand there until somebody is able to move.
See, this is why you should eat your vegetables. If you don't, they get cranky and they poison you and put you to sleep.
You know what? I'll go with it.
Woo! Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. The developers and producers and creators of Final Fantasy XIV really love the world of Ivalice, and I can understand why. You call it a single player MMO, guess what? You're gonna get it in your MMO. But to be fair, like, there's super cool environments in this game, super cool enemies. Like, it's really just a good time and a great place to explore. I mean, it's better than what Yoko Taro proposed, and I love Yoko Taro, but y'all be glad that Yoshi P told Yoko Taro no many times. Pretty much the exclusive answer that Yoshi P gave Yoko Taro was no. Okay, but can we do this? No. For those
we can do that, but toned down.
There is the Nier Automata raid that was added to Final Fantasy XIV. You know that, like, section where the balls come flying at you
down the hallway,
kind of like, yeah, down the hallway. Yoko Taro wanted to make it that if any of your party members, like in your party, got hit by it, your entire group would wipe, and that would be the end of it. Do it all over again.
No, it was the entire raid. There's 3 parties.
Yeah, the raid. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an entire raid wipe if one person got hit by one orb.
Yeah, Yoko Taro's evil. If you've ever played Drakengard 1 or Drakengard 3 to the final ending, or in Nier Automata in a toned down sense, it is pretty gnarly. Anyway, this is Armon. This boss is stinky because he divides and creates multiple clones of himself. I'm keeping an eye out for an attack called Mazer Eye, which is awful. Unfortunately, the clones have been very much in the way, and that battle took way longer than it should have. Like, the boys should not have lost Berserk status. That should have been 3 attacks and over. Unfortunately, bad split pattern. Yeah, Yoko Taro is strange creature. Love him dearly.
You know, for a second, I thought you were the first person to tell me about the way he wanted the FF14 raid to be implemented. No, actually, that was the rest of the Nier crew when I had the Draken Nier special on my show. And I remember my reaction was just like, what? Why? Why would you do this?
Yoko Taro is a very hateful, spiteful person. I don't think he actually is. He just enjoys challenging situations. Speaking of the, like, Yoko Taro, so the Game Awards came out. When Nier Automata first came out, there is literally, like, in an interview, they were discussing, like, you know, oh, congratulations, like, it won for the Best Music Award. And he's like, that's very stupid. I don't know why you give Keiichi Okabe all this praise. This man doesn't need any more awards or money. Stop it. It makes me very upset and salty. Stop giving him praise. And, like, that's their relationship. Like, they obviously love each other dearly, but, like, he just ribs on him constantly because Okabe is really good at the music he produces. Very iconic. It always fits the situation that it's used in. But Yoko Taro wants people to stop talking about it.
Sounds like you and I going back and forth.
Yeah, the tradition in Yoko Taro games is to get the final ending, you have to delete your save file. That's it, pretty much. Nier Automata is the only one where it gives you the option to not do it. But it still guilts you into it, like, hey, if you don't delete your save file, you won't help anyone else on the system. Anyway, we've met Jules. Jules is a scumbag, literally. He's just awful. He basically finesses you out of money to tell you things that you could have figured out yourself, but there's no way around it. As we made our way through the slums of Arcades, which is this fine establishment, you notice that I stopped and talked to one man who basically bragged about, oh man, I got all these coins and I hit him in a barrel. Well, you tell this other guy, Beasley, and then we go back to Jules. And now they're gonna start a fist fight. If anyone remembers bum fights, the very shameful thing that was popular on the internet for a while, this is basically what we just set up in order to distract the guards. Don't do this. It's very mean. Yeah, y'all thought I had a throwback. That's a throwback.
There's a lot of things in Final Fantasy games that you run in particular that's the don't do this, this is bad.
Yeah, don't do this, this is bad. Final Fantasy 15 is basically don't do this, this is a felony. Anyway, welcome to Arcades, the Royal Arcades, where everyone has actual clothes and umbrellas and there's guards around. It's gentrification at its finest. As we move along through the city, we will be encountering quite a few interesting people. And we start to learn that Balthier's dad is here. That's rather interesting. And then we also notice that he doesn't really talk about his dad a lot. We're introduced to chops, which we need, but they're 1,000,000 gil apiece. And we're like, well, we don't have that money, but don't worry. Scumbag Jules is here to extort more money out of us for information. Thanks, Jules. I don't know.
Does anybody like Jules?
Oh, hey, look, it's Fran showing her displeasure with Jules.
Every time you say Jules, I'm thinking of Family Jules, who is actually a pretty cool person and like another speedrunner. And I was just like, why are we talking smack about Jules? I like Jules. I'm like, Jules is cool. And I was like, wait a minute.
No, we're just talking smack about the character in the game.
Yep,
for being a rude dude, a real rude dude.
That and the Family Jules, the famous metal cover musician, YouTuber type, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Lots
of Jules.
Yeah, like he runs SM64 and Banjo-Kazooie, so.
Classic. I am a sucker for Banjo-Kazooie, even though that game is... It's an experience, I'll describe it as that. It is a very fun puzzle platformer. Near and dear to my heart. Yeah, Family Jules, the guitarist. I don't think they're the same person, but they're also cool. Especially if they share the name, too.
Wait. No, the speedrunner and the guitarist are the same person.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, serious.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, damn, today I learned. Okay, yo, that's super cool. I didn't know they were a speedrunner.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I found that out at a PAX East one time. It was actually the first time I had met him.
Wowza. Wow. Today I learned. That's cool. So basically how you get chops in the city is you spread rumors or shuttle information around. That's it. Anyway, we try and go into Sid's tower because Balthier's like, hey, we got to go see my dad because as it turns out, he's not such a great guy. He's been working with manufactured nethicite and basically giving all the judges and the Empire extraordinarily evil powers that are not good. But we find that it's very heavily fortified and locked, and we just basically give a stink eye and a mean mug to Jules. And basically, we're going to get out of here, and then a very unfortunate accident is going to happen at the lab. What could it be? It's definitely not a series of explosions or invasion by a crazy Rosarian dude. Run the Jewels is very good.
I do want to point...
LP?
I do want to point out when we talked about the chops real quick. So those of you who played the original PS2 version of this game and complained about having to get all the chops, I don't know if you noticed, but it went a lot faster because you don't need as many.
Yep, 3 as opposed to 8. And oh, by the way, you can buy them too. And if you do the plat % right, you can buy about 12 to 15 of them, which really cuts down.
It just makes it a lot easier if that was one of the mini games that you didn't really enjoy. More reasons to play TZA.
Yep. Anyway, we will now climb the tower. Basically, this is Sid's Sidolphus's private laboratory, and as you can tell, things are not going well. There are bodies strewn all over the place, but we now have access, and now a series of puzzles. basically because the building has gone into lockdown, we have to activate a series of basically bulkheads and kind of continue flipping back and forth until we can make our way out. Oh, by the way, there's a bunch of Imperials here who don't really like us. Hi, Taco. Oh, elevator troll. This guy's gonna have a bad day, though. Hello, sirs. Goodbye, sirs.
So one thing I know we
Thank you for your
haven't
patronage.
talked about, mechanic-wise, is in this version of the game as well. There's a on-screen map that we can pull up and have kind of overlaid on top of the game. And you've seen that we've had
Which
that
is
on the
easy.
entire time. And so especially in moments like these where the mini-map is all fuzzy, distorted, you really can't use it to help you get around that much. You could use that overlaid map to navigate. Also, I've used it this way. I think Kigos has used it this way. Some of the movement that we're doing at ridiculous speeds is done by watching that overhead map more than where I'm
it's a lot
actually
easier.
going.
If I have to be really precise with like longer movements, I look at that to make sure I'm maintaining pretty good movement. A lot of the speed run is just not bonking on stuff and just moving as quickly as you can from point A to point B. You can save, like literally when I first finally got comfortable with Final Fantasy XII and was like having clean runs, I next started focusing on movement, and wouldn't you know it, I saved like 5 minutes over a 7-hour run because of just cleaning up movement. Near Automata, which is only an hour and a half, the difference between okay movement and good movement is about 30 seconds. Okay movement and great movement is over a minute. Movement is super important. Look at how textured that hair is. They didn't need to do that in the PS2 game.
But you
Yep,
appreciate
Hitoshi
it.
Sakamoto slinging banger. And last round of boys here. Very nice. And we're out. And we're gonna find one of the causes for all the corpses littered about the place. And we'll say, Redis! One of the Rosarian Empire's most famous mercenaries and famous pirate, Redis, is here because he has a bone to pick with Cid. But now we're gonna go for one of the first complex tricks of the game. I'm gonna try and set up here. What we're gonna try and do is basically skip Cid. Hopefully this goes right. Basically what I'm gonna try and do is get Cid down before his palings go up and without taking any of the rooks.
Yes, it is completely possible.
I don't think my timing's looking great on this, especially because Vaughn got hit again, but we'll see. Nope.
Close.
All right. Plan B, I need to swap to lowest level so we start taking out the rooks. Now my next goal is to keep Ash out of damage range because she will get one shot with a crit very, very easily. Unfortunately, skip didn't happen because Cid got 2 attacks off on Vaughn, but none's the matter. We're gonna swap this back so I don't forget to do it later. And that should be Cid. He will go down before his health bar does. But hey, unfortunately, sorry, Cid. It is what it is. He, however, manages to basically escape, and we are once again left clutching basically thin air, trying to figure out what to do next. So we just decide to make our way over to Rosaria and our friends in the port of Balfin, where we're introduced to our friends Rickon, Elza, and Raz. I never remember its name, but it does have a parrot on it, and it kind of looks like a dog. Pretty dope. Like a dachshund that walks on 2 legs, parrot strapped to it. Also, in this town, everyone wears their underwear on the outside. I don't know what that is about, but hey, when in Rome. Anyway, we're gonna take a quick jaunt over here, make our way to the other end of town, where basically we're told, hey, the best answer for you right now is maybe go check out Giravegan, the ancient city, quite mystical, and, venture to a place called the Great Crystal, which is where Nethicite, just a very large piece of Nethicite. We're gonna talk to our good friend Dice here, grab 2, and then 3, teleport stones in case I make any silly menuing mistakes. I'm really going to stock up on those Phoenix Downs in case things go horrifically. We're going to take a trip back to Mount Burromasase. Why, do you ask? Well, that's the quickest way to get to Giravegan. It's on the other side of the Feywood, which we haven't really gone through. All right. So we're going to grab another Chocobo. Everybody loves Chocobo. Queh. Is it Queh or Wark?
Queh.
It's sometimes it's both.
Is it?
True. I will always stand though by that being Queh, mostly because in 14 I was like, oh, I get to name my Chocobo, and me being the smart aleck that I am, like looked at my Chocobo on the computer and was like, what's your name? And at that point the Chocobo made the Queh noise, and so now my Chocobo in 14 is named Queh because I said fair enough.
All right, you answered the question validly. Thank you. Don't worry, Great Crystal is great. That's why it's got great in its name.
I wonder how many Chocobos on 14 ended up named Queh.
It's definitely a non-zero number, that's for sure.
I was gonna name it something different until that happened, and I was like, fair enough.
What's your name, little buddy? Queh. Imagine the ones that just go like, Wark.
And it like held it out, like it was like sustained, so there's a few E's in there. So
that was really cool. So that was one of the only times I've ever had all the Mirror Knights just decide to reflect. Hey, it's a boss guarding the entrance to Giravegan. Boss is gone. And we didn't get sap. Rather fortunate.
yeah.
Sap is good, and this also is, at least in the any percent run, an introduction to something that is also pretty cool about Final Fantasy XII. They have field effects. Unfortunately, the one that we got is not a great one, but it is, you know, it's the same every time. Rafflesia's area effect in its boss room is that it drains your MP continuously, no matter what. There are certain boss fights where it's HP, there's certain ones that restrict what you can and can't use. There's all sorts of fun mechanics that go into the boss fights. Before continuing, I am going to come out here and grab this, which is rather important. That is a bubble belt. The bubble belt is really cool because it gives you the status effect of bubble, which instead of placing you in a giant bubble, which would be kind of funny as you roll your way through the Great Crystal, like a hamster in some kind of giant, horrible contraption, it just gives you double HP, which is really nice. In case you haven't noticed, we're pretty much towards the end of the game, and Ash still has under 1,000 HP. The boys have barely cracked it. Bosch looking pretty beefy at just 1,700. I'm going to turn that back to active, and we're going to summon our friend Belias. Hello, Belias. Can you do me a favor, sir? And he'll be like, "Rah." We're like, yeah, I know. Taxes, right? And he's going to help us open the gate, which only opens if Belias is around. So thanks, Belias. All right, thanks. Have a good one. That was me doing my, how about Ensanguine Shield? No, this is not Desperation FF12, any percent PS2. I know those strats, trust me. And the 70% block rate is great. Anyway, boys are going to get angry. Ash is going to touch a save crystal. So this is the entrance to Giravegan. We have to take a waystone over there, way over there. And my puns are awful. I don't even like pun. Anyway, this is the Guardian. His name is Daedalus. Make your inappropriate jokes to yourself, I guess. We're gonna say hi, we're gonna say bye. He's only gonna cast haste because, you know, damage.
God, the boss
And now we're gonna enter the worst area of the game. Yep.
People think that I'm joking when I always preface in these runs that, hey guys, if you blink during a boss fight, you're gonna miss it. They think that I'm joking until we get to about this point, and they're like, no, I missed that one. Yeah, I know. You blinked.
Don't worry, you didn't miss much.
There are some fights that do like take a little bit longer or anything else. It actually becomes kind of, in my opinion, it shows off the actual skill of any runner who picks up this game and gets good at it. Because if anything goes wrong, you're having to react that fast to recover and
from here on out, that's what I have to do, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is our last kind of big menu of the game. To sum it up, Vaughn is going to get a bunch of HP, and I'm going to not forget to give him Sash because that would be awful. But this should be pretty much all of the HP for Vaughn, most of the HP for Bosch, and it looks like I'm going to have enough to add a cheeky battle lore early. Actually, 2 of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock that out. Doesn't matter. Ash is going to get all the way over to Mystic Armor 8. You'll notice that Ash is still wearing the armor from when we got her. So that's mildly concerning considering she has like basically single-digit defense stats, which is why like everything just kind of knocks her over like a piece of paper in a strong breeze. I'm gonna give her some magic lore as well, just kind of pump up the magic output. So the Great Crystal is very easy to navigate. If the area you're headed towards is dark, that means you're headed towards a boss. If you just keep going down, you'll find the eventual boss of Shemazai, and you'll just move past it. Gambit, this is now going to set to any, which basically means she will just cure until there's no reason to. I'm going to turn the battle speed to slow. There is one thing I do not want to see in this area, and it is something called an Entite. It's big, it's glowing, and if anything, not just me, casts magic near me or near it, it will literally murder everything on sight. Unfortunately, Bosch has sap, and I'm going to have to remedy that because otherwise we're going to get into trouble. Actually, I'm gonna just deal with it because that was pretty okay.
And with the Entites, a lot of the enemies in this area are actively casting magic.
Horrible magic that is just reeks of negative status effects like that. That would stop. There's the Entite.
Okay.
That's great. Oh, by the way, this area, you're moving so far, but if I cast something on the bottom level, there is a chance that all the way back at the top of the map, they'll recognize it because your X coordinates are still close enough.
Yep. So that's why it's just seeing the Entites got me nervous.
For my own safety, I'm going to eye drop really quick and at least let Ash get us healed back up. I will probably have to cross paths again with the Entite if its movement pattern is on. Nope, stayed up there. Ooh, second miss stop cast. Great luck. I have lost probably more runs here than anywhere else in the game because all it takes is one enemy to hit you with either stop, immobilize, or disease, and your run is pretty much over.
Yeah.
Like at that point.
Pretty much.
Disease is a horrible status ailment we haven't touched on because we really don't access it until later in the game. I don't remember if it's in any other Final Fantasies, but basically it's a status ailment that makes your current HP your max HP. So when you die, your HP is 1-1. When you revive, it's still 1-1, which is awful.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Yep. It persists until cured, and so it persists through death.
Okay. Fireball, we're okay here. Very nice Tyrant, nothing bad. The thing you have to look out for with Tyrant is Piercing Claws, which is pretty much like a regular attack, but it just does more damage. Unfortunately, it also carries the rather unfortunate added benefit of the attack with a 5% chance of instantly KOing.
By the way, this is the area, if you don't like high-pitched noises, and you've heard it a bit already, but it's going to be even worse throughout here, so if you don't like that, you might want to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, just mute it for a little. You'll be all right. Oh, man.
It's one of those
diseases in 14. Yeah. I am unknowing of 14 besides what everyone tells me about it. I know it's a great game though, and the soundtrack's awesome. Square Enix even suckered me into buying the vinyl pressing that they did of it. To be fair though, the artwork on it is absolutely spectacular.
There's a lot of love that gets put into 14 by the dev
There's
team.
a lot of love that Square Enix puts into their vinyl pressing, like unnecessary, but at least it justifies the pretty high price for it. Anyway, we were talking. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh no.
It happens. It was a quick revive anyway, thankfully. But I did mention getting Ash some armor licenses. Well, good news. We're going to get some of the best armor that we can get for her in the game without, you know, unlocking a bunch of side areas. Just running through here, and it's pretty dope. It's going to give her like an extra 100 MP and like 30 or 40 defense and magic defense. That is awful. Please don't do that again. This is even worse. Petrify is awful because I only carry a limited amount of... All right, well, this is not great. I'm just gonna have to golden this, unfortunately. I only bring a certain amount with me because if I have to use more than that, that means the run is in such bad shape that I don't even think about it. Anyway, there we go. Ash is getting equipped very nicely. I am gonna have her bring Vaughn back, which makes a later part of the run a little bit sketchy. If I remember, I'll probably just talk to the Leap and Banga and just grab one more. And you can see Vaughn has a bunch of horrible status ailments: Sap, Silence, Blind, Immobilize, and Disable. So basically, he just sits alone at a bench in the park. Totally motionless except for his heart. Mud flowed up into Vaughn's pajamas. Totally confusing all the passing piranhas, by the way. That's right, a Presidents of the United States reference.
Did not have
Bonus
that
points if
on
you
my
get
bingo card.
Bonus points if you get that one. Anyway, the save crystal is good because it heals all the negative status effects, just like nothing ever happened.
Also restores all the mana.
I have all of the near vinyl pressing. It's very, very, very awesome.
Coming up on a boss fight again. If you blink, you're gonna miss it.
We'll probably get knock. Hey, we didn't get the 10% chance of death on that one.
Yo.
I'll take it.
And I have to grab this very important Haska mode here once we're done stuck being in a casting mode. There we go. Millions of peaches. Peaches for free. Anyway, cool bunch of cutscenes here, and for some reason, one of these cutscenes actually heals your party. I don't know why. I'm not sure if there's any reason for it. But basically, Ash gets astral projected into the land of the Akuria, where we learn that Banah's a heretic. And, like, you know, it's said with such force that, like, the clouds part and, you know, the seas spill over on the side. It's very, very important. But basically, Banah is a Akuria that has basically been controlling Cid and sharing power with him, but basically corrupting the man to do horrible, evil, awful things. Yep, that's right. Cid's back. And guess what? He's at the top of the lighthouse. You'd be like, which lighthouse? And I'd say the one at Pharos of Ritarana, the Ritarana Cataract, the home of Subterra. It's not the dead Kennedys, it's the presidents of the United States of America. Two completely different things. Both very good, though. Anyway, back to Valfenheim we go. I am going to stop at the Leap and Banga because I did say it out loud, so I remembered it. I'm just going to grab a few, just like one or two extra gold needles. There are a bunch of enemies at Pharos that can petrify your party, which stinks, and there is a petrified trap that Ash just loves to trigger every time and petrify my entire party, thus forcing me into a panic. Anyway, we're gonna talk to this guy, and he's gonna be like, hey, Redis is waiting. And he's gonna take you out to the Pharos at Ritarana. Because at the top of it, what powers the incredible lighthouse to ward off the evil across the sea? Well, a giant piece of nethicite. It's the one with the math boss?
Yes.
I was elected to lead, not to read. There's a bunch of, well, it's kind of like the boss rush before the boss rush. But yeah, if you're talking about down in Subterra, yeah, Subterra uses math. And you also have to fight. Oh God, what's its name?
It's also
Well, Ixion's down there. That's a hunt, and then
also a
the
14
dude
reference.
yeah, the dude that summons all of the horrible enemies.
In 14 there's a math boss.
The Seer. Yeah, the Seer. I couldn't remember its name.
14 there's the math boss in the raid, the Redonia Lighthouse.
Oh, I am unfamiliar. You kids and your newfangled cell phones, I tell you what.
The idea of a math boss just makes me, like, I was good at math in school, and then I wasn't in school anymore, and then I got very used to technology. So the sound of a math boss, as long as I have a calculator, I'm fine. But if I don't, I can't do it fast enough in my head anymore.
It's mostly, do you know what's divisible by 2 and 3 and 5?
That's how level spells work in this game. Level 2, level 3, level 5.
See,
if you can do that,
I was even slower at.
Well.
Never let me fight the math boss.
If you ever have to go do the math boss, you can have me tag along. We'll stream one of them to Discord, and I will have your back.
All right,
Like,
welcome to Hydro. This can go well or not well. Ta-da!
That looks like that
Okay.
went well.
Yep.
Yeah, we just have to have the annoying Reflectica noise for a while now, though. As much as I dislike it, for some reason, if you decide to reflect your party, it doesn't open with Curse. And Curse is awful, because it basically gives you every negative status ailment in the game.
That includes
All at once. It's horrible. But we did get a new item that Redis had, and if the eagle-eyed viewer and all of us saw that I opened up the Gambit menu and basically cleared one of Redis's Gambits. And that one was Self, 30 HP, 30% HP, Domain Calvados. So Domain Calvados is an item that grants the status Bravery, which increases your physical stats pretty nicely. Well, wouldn't you know it, Strength is one of those physical stats. So we'll take that and definitely use it for our own devices as we did there. Give us a little damage boot. Yasmat's a wimp in this game the way I have it set it up, because normally we don't actually have to do it in the run for plat percent, but you know, I did basically take it down within 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes with a normal like plat percent setup, which is pretty cool. It's a nice little showcase, because what I do is I basically set up the fight, I get the boys in range, and then I walk away for 6 minutes and I come back and the fight's over. Oops, there we go. I want to have Vaughn lead. He is pretty tanky boy. But we grabbed those 3 black orbs, and we need to use those in a concept that you would be much more familiar with once you clear this area and can go downstairs into Subterra. We basically need these black orbs to help unlock the locks on the door to allow us to ascend the lighthouse. And we're gonna scoot booty our way along here, hopefully not getting hot glare. Of course, getting hit by hot glare. The one thing I didn't want, because petrify. We'll just have to fix that on the way. Yeah, this area is very tedious, and even with Seitengrat, the second ascent is actually the most tedious area in my opinion. I'm gonna get the boys set up with Domain Calvados and Bacchus Wine, thank you. And the second we get into this fight, I'm gonna start priming on Redis. Pandemonium has the ability to deflect all damage, and well, I'm not even gonna have to use it. There's some sort of weird mechanic, or I don't know if it's a bug or maybe intended, but Pandemonium throws up a paling that basically makes it so that it is invulnerable to all sources of damage for a certain period of time. However, if you take Redis and you cast Arise on Pandemonium, which will do nothing because it's literally a spell to revive allies with full health, for some reason, the game's aggro mechanics makes it so insanely high that it immediately drops the paling for whatever reason. Don't know why, it just does. All right, second ascent. So I mentioned that this part is going to be a little bit more difficult, and it is. The main reason is I really don't have a place to stop for Ash to recover her MP. So what I'm gonna have to do is be very selective and careful how I take on all the brain pans that I need to get through this area. One of the main reasons we eliminate Redis here is obviously my levels are important. However, Redis likes to run up to things because he is a melee character. What happens when you get within range of a magic caster? It's just gonna cast all of its magic at everything. So the goal here for me is to get into these encounters and get out before I get damaged. Bosch, unfortunately, catching Doom there. We'll pick him back up. No deal. But I basically want it so that Ash is casting as little as possible. Because if she can't cast and I need her to heal me, well, obviously we're gonna have problems for her to heal me.
And there's two main ways to get mana back in this game. One of them is touching a save crystal. Okay, well, there's three. But one of them is touching a save crystal, which will give you your full mana back. Another one is movement. So as you see, as we're walking, her mana is slowly going up. It's because she's moving. And then the last one would be items, but we also don't want to use items.
Yeah, I only have one healing item. If anyone knows what it is and was paying attention to the beginning of the run, good on you. You can share in chat what MP healing item I have. No. Oh no.
Do you not have the Phoenix down cycle?
I've been running the whole game without Vaughn having an revive. Well, that shows how good we've been because Vaughn hasn't gone down a single time in the run.
So you set up your gambits in this run in such a way that each one of your main trio picks up a specific other member of the trio. So that when somebody goes down, as long as their other person is up, they'll get picked up. So that really does say something about how well the run has been going, that we haven't noticed that we didn't set it up correctly for Vaughn to have his person to pick him up.
That is the third successfully landed in a row.
Hey, I'm not used to seeing so many dooms.
I'll take it over Stone Gaze.
True,
to be honest.
but I'm just not used to seeing so many.
Well, Countdown is a spell that they can use. See, right now, Ash's MP is really high, or really low, rather. Mainly that's because our party members have had to be completely revived and full healed twice. Nothing I can do about it. Fortunately, well, kind of fortunately, we're done in this area. And I can just kind of pick my way through the rest of this. Level 30, so yeah, I'm definitely a little bit up on where I'm supposed to be, but I'd rather take an extra minute in a marathon setting and just make the run a bit added than, you know, potentially just losing it to something. Oh, that is not pretty. This is very risky and I do not like it. I do have an elixir that I can use to potentially heal Ash, but at this point I'm already here, so I'm just going to keep going, and then we have a save crystal at the end of this. That's the entire Ascent of Pharaohs. World record for this category is like 218 or something. It is literally 100% risky, so marathon time is pretty all right. So the second tower boss we are going to fight is a lovely gentleman-ish by the name of Slit. The immortal words of seasoned Final Fantasy XII and Final Fantasy VII and near replicant speedrun. 8 for a living. Never trust Slit. because Slit can sometimes just haul off and do 5 to 7 hit combos, completely wiping your party, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like Redis, just getting absolutely mulched in one shot. It'll happen. All right, so now we have a chance of seeing another not so friendly N-Type. The worst part is this one does insane amounts of damage. Yep, there it is. And also likes to cast silence on everyone, which is not great because generally I only bring a very small amount of echo herbs. Thankfully, it looks like it didn't really get a full cast off there, which is really nice. It opened with silence instead of just absolutely blasting my party. Okay, so welcome to, well, what is actually the second ascent, where you have the option of giving up a few things. You can give up your use of items, magic, attack, or your map. Because this is TZA, I have an on-screen map overlay, and because I'm a speedrunner, I know where I'm going anyway. But obviously, giving up the map, well, it doesn't really affect us too. In the PS2 version, it's awful, because this area is just filled with all sorts of horrible monsters that just want to absolutely smash it to pieces. Fortunately for me, I know where to go, and I'm just gonna keep running.
You also have the overlay map.
Shh, I want people to think I'm actually good at this game.
All they have to do is look at the screen.
One other thing I'm gonna do for safety is just turn the battle speed down to slow. Not super required, but it does make this area a little bit easier in case things just kind of start wheeling out of hand, as they can really quickly. Because my party members can take 1, maybe 2 attacks before it becomes a serious issue. I probably should let her get rid of that cast. Oh, yep. Hey, like when I said things can go wrong, there are big enemies there that like to clog the doorway, and it's not a fun time. Anyway, fake walls, am I right?
Yeah, yeah. So we're just gonna, shoot it with a bow, right?
Yep, obviously. Oh, strong. All right, gather everyone up here. Next up is Fenrir, who is actually one of my favorite bosses in terms of like the PS2 run. It's so neat. For those of you that are into older speedruns, you might be familiar with a term called underflow, which is where when the game does like its maths to figure out, oh, that is unfortunate. I just bogged the wrong. For my own sake, I will just eat this and just kind of read. So, oh yeah, this game has autosave at every transition. It's awesome. Speaking of transition, happy Trans Awareness Week, everybody. Underflow. Basically, when the game does its math to figure out, oh, what effects should be in play here, that's what I want. The number that it comes up with is 0, but it gets rounded down to a value that is so low it flips and becomes positive. What we have in the run is we have a level 12 Balthier going out and casting Sleep on Fenrir, a level 50-something boss. And the chances of it landing mathematically are so freaking low, the game just decides that instead it's 100%. You have a 100% chance to sleep a boss in a game. Which, makes it pretty easy. As long as you cast it 3 times, Hoishin, instead of twice. Y'all still alive?
Yeah. Just letting you talk.
Just
You're doing a great job on your own, so I'm just letting you go with it.
You're doing great, sweetie.
That's exactly the feeling I get. It's like, you're doing great, sweetie. Just keep going.
Great job. All right, I will.
But no, seriously, you are doing great.
If I don't have
Keeping it
anything
as
to
clean
add,
and
why would
squeaky
I
as possible.
add? You got this. I'm just here to fill in when you have to focus, really. Make witty comments every so often. Keep you on your toes.
I lost an additional 3 seconds because I kept battle speed on slow. Who? All right, Waystone. Now up to the third ascent. Climbing the tower. All right. The Poroborlos here are basically like bombs on roids. They are terrifyingly strong.
Strong. Like wool.
Strong. Strong like bull. Their main thing is they can do chain reaction, and they have a horrible concept that I haven't showed off yet, but will be something that we'll be learning about shortly, called damage return. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, you damage an enemy and it gives you damage back proportionally. It's awful, especially at high-speed scenarios like this. And one of the main reasons, I didn't really sum back up on it, but the healing item I do have for MP is an elixir.
There were people that got it right in chat.
There were?
There were. I think I saw it twice.
The main reason I keep it is... When does that ever happen? I do my best work distracted. The main reason is if anything goes wrong in the final boss fight, you can basically get stuck in a loop unless you toss an elixir, which allows someone to tank at least 1 hit of damage. So I am trying to save up for that. And I'm gonna hope Ash doesn't drag us into this trap. Good job. Really? Woman!
I didn't do it.
Fine. Regis is here. No, Ash, she still hit it. Hey, no tower, awesome. Okay, so now it is time to get the party ready again. Hit them with the Domain Calvados, hit them with the Bacchus Wine. And now is a great time for me to finish literally all of the rest of the menuing I can do. Bosch is gonna get Swiftness. I didn't touch that the last time, but Swiftness is great. It speeds up your action speed by about 10%, which is really good.
Yeah, just to touch on the how can you go that fast, just going to remind everyone that 2x and 4x speed are actually features in this version of the game. So if you thought the game was really, really slow on the English PS2 release, pick this version up because
you go zoom, zoom, zoom
super fast. Yeah, you go noom.
Auto save in literally every screen transition is an auto save, and a bunch of quality of life adjustments. You have trial mode where you can farm easy money, experience, and LP.
Chest respawn.
Non-unique chest respawn if like literally every other room. If you go two maps away, they'll respawn as long as it's not a unique one. This is really, really interesting fight. I'm basically hoping we don't see disease. If we get a disease opener on anyone but Redis, it becomes a bit of a challenge, and I'll have to kind of think about how I need to proceed from the fight. Ash takes first hit, Roxor, Battle Fry. Good, clean. Yep, very clean. Now we face Sid. Oh, and Bosch's brother, who happens to be a judge, who really, really, really doesn't.
And turns out, because, you know, remember that whole thing about killing the king a long time ago, you know, like 2 hours ago?
Yeah, it wasn't Bosch who did it.
Wasn't Bosch who did it, but, you know, something twin brother.
Yep, something twin brother with a handsome and rugged voice. Speaking of handsome and rugged voices, hi, Mash. Shoutouts to the Draconeer community they were mentioned earlier. Solid crew. All right, here we go. And because this is the most important battle, wow, I did that all on slow too.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna make the important decision of
I
going in
thought
with only
something
one
was
active
off,
party
but
member.
I thought maybe I just
Yeah, I was
got
wondering-
faster
I was
in my
wondering-
mind. I was like,
I was wondering why
okay.
Hashmal was getting 3 attacks as opposed to 2.
I'm not crazy. Something was
Yep.
off.
So I'm gonna go in with only Vaughn as my lead attacker because we actually get a shorter cutscene with only Vaughn. And I mentioned earlier that we can use items and spells to kind of affect when enemies get attacks off. You're gonna start seeing that right now. I'm basically gonna throw a Phoenix down, which with Ash will hang in the item queue for quite a bit, which should allow me to get Bosch actually back out and get the few shots in and skip a cinematic attack. Now I'm gonna focus because this is gonna get hairy and ugly. It always does.
You got this.
Basically, this fight there's a lot of attacks that can kind of happen that cause everybody to just wipe if we're not careful.
Yes, Redis!
And every now and then,
And the
Redis
full
is the
script.
MVP and just takes care of business.
So that fight can either go that quickly, that is one of the toughest boss fights and series of fights in the game, or it can literally last 4 minutes. I have to turn the game down to 1-time speed and slow battle speed and basically walk in a circle around a pillar so Sid can't maintain line of sight on me.
Yep.
Fortunately, we got a very early takedown of Famfrit. I was able to pull the party in. I draw the party back, which brings Famfrit out. The unfortunate thing with Berserk is when inflicted with that status effect, our attackers only target the nearest visible enemy, which if you don't move back is Sid, who is immune the entire time. The Aquaja, which is the cinematic attack that Famfrit has, does massive amounts of damage, pretty much almost wipes the party, and has like a 33% chance of casting silence on the party, which means you can't heal, which means your party wipes, and then you're basically stuck in the loop of trying to get your party back up and deal with it. Thankfully, Redis did not die, which is normally what happened. Then also did a 2-hit and 4-hit combo for a couple thousand of damage that I just needed to get Famfrit out of the way quickly. And then because we were just rolling, we got 2 or 3 crits on Sid as his paling dropped, which basically skipped Cyclotron. Now, another boss rush. I'm not going to stock up on anything because we realistically did not use any of our Phoenix
No.
Downs. We got through that so supremely cleanly.
You should have enough. Because we used a couple from the brain pans, but not enough that I would be concerned about item number, so...
We used 3.
Yeah.
I should still have like 39, 38.
Yeah. It was definitely not enough that my brain went, yeah, you're in a number that I need to pay attention to. It was still in a, yeah, you good.
You good. Yep, Redis left because Redis sacrificed himself to cut the Sun Crest. They basically saved the world. Ash, however, lost her sword, so I'm going to swap that on and turn this to, yeah, we'll just do that. I'm going to do some extra. Actually, I'm 1 level lower than I normally am. Actually, almost 2 levels lower.
Yeah.
So we're just getting cruise. 37? Okay, that's way more than I need. The goal is none. I'm going to try and get all of the skips that I can. Ash was slow, however, is not great.
Dude. That's one thing we're
How I
going to have
feel
to get
about
rid
it.
of, because if she can't
I
cast...
can't get rid of it. It
yeah, we
might
don't...
wear out by the time we get through here. Not 100% sure.
Because if she can't heal fast enough, we can also end up in a rough spot. And you would think that
well,
you're seeing it
will
cast
be gone
pretty
by
quick.
the time I...
Yeah. You're thinking that you're seeing it cast pretty quick, but she can still indeed be in a situation where she can't heal fast enough.
Not too worried about the healing here. It'll be gone before like the end of the run. Hopefully. If not, it'll be fine. Anyway, hey, it's Gabranth again. Hey everybody, Gabranth got stomped again. And now I'm going to try and play a very cheeky trick on him by throwing a reflect mote when he casts Renew, which will just full heal one of my party members instead of him, and then we'll skip a cinematic cutscene.
Wield your hatred and crush me.
I welcome it.
Yeah, welcome to Team Calm Voice tonight.
Oh yeah. Like I am in one of those
Didn't even
like chill moods right now.
All I know is chill mood.
We critted, so I didn't have to do anything there.
Nice.
And slow is off.
Yes.
Yeah, for some reason I swear over leveling in this game is actually bad. Like I'm actually under where I should be.
There's a weird
so I'm just
thing in
gonna
a
keep
lot
rolling.
of Final Fantasy games where both under leveling and over leveling can be bad.
And we're gonna try and skip more cinematic attacks because this dude is stinky. Your lives are forfeit, and your insurgents with them. Dalmasca will again no order.
Again, no order.
I'm gonna try and do another Phoenix down stall to skip Mockwave here.
Nice.
Skip Mockwave, and now we are going to go into the next one. Oh, Gabranth is here. Okay, so my party is at full health. I'm gonna go for Invaluable Will Skip, which also skips Tree of Saphira. If it doesn't, things are gonna get hectic, and I'm gonna have to scramble a little bit. Uh-oh, Stinky! Dispel Mote, go.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Nope. He just absolutely noped. I probably waited a frame too long. It also doesn't help that Gabranth pulled into screen.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice the Branth pulling under the screen.
This is a long cinematic, but if I ATB reset quick enough, I should just be able to go back to casting Kira, which is the goal here. Worst case scenario, I want at least one party member over half health, preferably all of them. This is a really quick technique called ATB resetting.
You use it more in the other
okay.
run or in the other versions of this run than this one, but by unequipping everything and then using optimize,
Get
it
ready on
resets
time.
ATB. And
Vaughn is gonna hard carry. This is fine. We'll get her up. It'll be fine. Oh no, they're still berserked. This is a problem.
I was gonna say I'm not so sure.
It's fine. We're still fine.
Everything's under control.
We are not fine.
Oh, no.
We are getting ascension. It's fine. At this point, I'm just gonna let it cycle. Vaughn also might survive this.
This last fight is
Vaughn
kind of one of
survived it.
the
This is fine.
toughest ones because of little things like this.
Also, I had that gambit set wrong the entire time.
This has been a
I'm also gonna ATB reset to get this cure off. Oh wow, I've never seen this. Well, this will be interesting. things went this wrong. By the way, Undying should be done by now, but unfortunately bad things happened and I set my gambits wrong at the first 30 minutes of the game and now we pay the consequences. At least you get to see some cool cinematics.
You remember when we said actions have consequences? You're witnessing our actions have consequences from, 2 hours ago.
We should be fine.
I just have to laugh at this point. Because
Well, my only other option is resetting and just having to do it again.
No, this is great. Like, it's just, I've never seen all of this in a run. Like, casually, yeah.
You're not supposed to. This is bad. This is bad when this happens. Don't celebrate this. Boo this man.
At this point, though, all I can do is laugh.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, Piercing Holy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, things start to get gnarly
Oh,
here.
no.
I don't know if he still has a paling, but I have to make an executive decision here.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
I'm not going to cast Kira on Bosch. Oh, no, he was going to get that elixir, but not today.
So when we talk about the fact that you can end up in a gambit cycle where you basically can't seem to break out of a specific cycle, this is a good example of that because you're watching basically them all try to use an action, but they're also getting up and dying so fast that they're all stuck on this one particular action of their gambit system. Usually we're able to kind of break out of this a little bit easier, but you know what? Things happen. This is not an example I thought I would.
I might have to reload this at some point. This is getting gnarly.
I wasn't expecting to actually have an example of gambit cycling happening. But you guys have now gotten a chance to witness that.
See what when keeping it real goes wrong.
This is a situation.
This is 100%.
I should be able to dig out of it though.
A never before seen happening on never before seen.
Exactly.
I think you're getting out of this.
But I think this belongs on That's Never Happened Before.
Yeah, there's really not much I can do about this, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
Yep.
Gonna have to reload it.
That's unfortunate. Is what it is. All right, well, I shouldn't have told Rich to get ready on time. Oh, well, I forget where this starts. I think this starts at the base of the elevator. That's fine. We'll get another chance to do all the skips, and everyone will act like nothing happened.
Take a second and check your gambits.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm sure Rich is still ready on time at any point at this moment.
I think we might actually load. Yeah, we're going to load right into... as long as it doesn't open with Mega Flare, we're fine. Yep, see? Piercing Magic is the worst, and look at that. Get ready for time, because this one is... What is with all the misses, gentlemen? Time.
That's how that fight should have gone.
Yeah, that's what should have happened. I just was stubborn and tried to dig out of it. I also I've never really lost a fight there, so it's a question of either I reset and didn't PB, or I just kind of make stuff happen, but it went sideways for way too long.
Like, I appreciate the try on trying to recover there, because like being able to adapt in a speed run is very, very hard, especially in RPGs like this.
Well, it's also a great example of it decries like, oh, the game plays itself. No, it does not. I had to very actively try and revive party members and just do everything that I could. Like, unequipping and re-equipping the party members literally at 4 times speed only saves like less than 1/10 of a second, but sometimes that's really all I need, is just to get myself one slight fragment of a second ahead.
Oh yeah. But GG's on the run.
GG's.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you had your gambit set wrong for the vast majority of the run, and it was going well mostly up to that point.
Yeah, no, that just means I played the entire run very, very cleanly, and the game cooperated for the most part. Like, this is honestly, even though it didn't PB and we had that meltdown at the end, this has been probably the best run I've seen in about 2 months.
Yeah, no. Like
of running
that,
this
was
3
really
times a week and just taking a pummeling.
Yeah, like that definitely... The very end, you started getting hit with the really nasty, like, status effects and stuff, but, like, that was the point where you realized, oh, my gambits are wrong.
Yep.
But, like, still...
You think you'd pay more attention.
Oh, yeah. Like, also, where can people find the two of you? I'm gonna go ahead and post y'all's links in the chat, but go ahead, plug yourselves, do your shout-outs, tell the lovely people how you really feel.
Ladies and ladies first.
Why do you do this to me when you know I hate going first on
Yes, because I
everything?
love putting you on the spot. Awesome. I love it.
So I do stream ideally 2 days a week at twitch.tv/Alfina. Otherwise, you can see me moderating in many chats, including Kios's.
Yeah. I'm Kios Little Monster. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Roan, basically anywhere. I have the name. You'll find me, I think I'm nearing almost 700 days in a row streamed at this point. Mainly this, Final Fantasy 15. I'm pushing for basically having every world record in that game. Maybe coming back to Nier Automata.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is a mental health battle there. But yeah, you can find generally me and Alfina there pretty much every night, 6 p.m. Weekends are super long. We occasionally just do like an 18-hour stream. Absolute clarity. I think that covers it. Maybe? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, thank you once again for having us. I'll try and come up with another crazy. I actually am working on something that's never been seen before again. I'm taking my time with it, but it's something very special. So once that's done, I'll probably submitting and talking to you again.
Sounds good to me.
Oh yeah, NBS.
Always a
Yeah,
good time having you on the show. You and Alfina both.
Yeah, I try my best.
I just gotta teach Kios all of my runs so that, you know, when I actually show up to speedrun, he could commentate, but that hasn't happened yet.
But yes, like Kyo just posted in the chat, we are a show geared towards games and categories that have never before been seen in GDQ's main events. So every Wednesday after Mercy Kill at 10 p.m. Every other Wednesday, sorry, not every Wednesday. We are on the Team Velocity Week, so we're that roster. We like to try to show off, you know, things that have just never been on mainline GDQ events. Shed those, you know, shed light on shed those communities. Shed light on those communities. There we go. That being said, I do have a few announcements as we are on our way out. First and foremost, just want to remind everyone that the AGDQ 2022 online schedule is out and prize submissions are now open as well. Go to gamesdonequick.com/schedule for more info on the schedule, or gamesdonequick.com proper for the prize submission information. And tomorrow we have Church and Sarge filling in with a Halo anniversary special tomorrow, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. The first step will be returning in 2 weeks. Jay Hobbs and Keyzeron are taking a very much needed 2-week break, so they will be back the Thursday after Thanksgiving. So go join Church and Sarge tomorrow with the Halo folks celebrating the anniversary tomorrow night. And of course, we are going to send y'all over to another person doing speedrun things. Send all of this positive energy over to that person when we hit that raid button. So take it easy, y'all. It has been an absolute pleasure. I will see you all on December 1st for my 1-year anniversary here on GDQ Hotfix. Take it easy.